Day 2 of the NBA drafts. That means day 2 of the PHLY Sixers NBA draft special here on a Thursday night. Round 2. Who do the Sixers have in store for us tonight at pick 35? Well, could it be a St. Joe's kid? Could it be someone from Tennessee?
No, it could not,
Devon. Could it be someone else? I don't know, but we're here to talk about it. And our Day 2 show is presented by Rothman Orthopedics and our good friends from TrueMark Online, TrueMark Financial Credit Union. So let me tell you where to go to check those two places out. Rothman Orthopedics, you can check them out at rothmanortho.com. And that is where you need to go ahead and check it out and say, you know what, I need to get my knee looked at. And I got to go to rothmanortho.com.
Maybe your Achilles, man, all these recent injuries in the NBA.
PHLY related, so it's rothmanortho.com/PHLY. And for the TrueMark side, it's truemark.com overall. As I look at the television, and the green room looks a little different from night 1, where you see maybe 8 tables, less guests, but hey, it's nice that they have these guys and their families there to acknowledge them on night 2.
And the Yang Gang, maybe they're still hanging around after he emerged from the crowd. Like, I don't even know what the comparison would be there. It's like a wrestler out of the rafter.
Oh, man. Yeah, stunned us all, that wrestler did last
Steel
night.
Chair over Adam Silver's
he did.
head.
Yes, he did. And so Yang Gang goes on night 1. Who do we have for night 2? We're going to get into it all for you all here on the PHLY Sixers Draft Night Special. And we had a good time yesterday. We want to thank the Boozy Mutt once again, Allison and Sam, the 2 owners. They were fantastic.
Excellent hosts.
To all of us, and we appreciate it. Tonight we have our president of basketball operations, Bree, with us producing the show. Chris and Ethan are here with us as well. And we got Rich in the house for night 2. Night 2, Rich. How you feeling, man?
Feeling better because of that pizza Vince just ordered. A little bit better, but yeah, I'm ready to go. And just like last night, we're going to get this pick over with fast. I don't think there's going to be a trade. I think they're probably just going to pick a guy at some point here. So excited to see who it is.
Yeah. Well, look, man. Last night you guys did me a favor by not telling me, and I think a lot of people already know what's going on for pick number 1. We do know that Minnesota did trade the pick. And Phoenix moved up to pick number 31 for that selection. Also at pick number 36, Brooklyn made a trade earlier in the day where they traded out of that spot. The Lakers traded, was it the Lakers that traded into
Lakers
it?
Traded up 10 spots from 55 to 45. I believe that was just a cash trade, correct?
Yes. So we got to get into
the Bulls, man. They love them some cash.
Yes, they do. The Bulls love some cash. Noah Sengwe might get a little 55 there, get a partner there. So we look at, Kyle, we talked about it a little bit earlier with your projected people that you were at least looking at with the All PHLY story that you put up there. And you had a list of names that we discussed on the 3 o'clock show. People, if you haven't read it yet, you got to go and sign up with our Make Your Move special that you can sign up to become a diehard member at allphly.com. Take advantage of the $36 intro offer, and you will have access to the diehard. Of course, all the diehard things that we do, from T-shirts to RSVPing. You have access to all those things, like to last night's event, and then you get to read the story. And in the story, you just laid out a bunch of names that you like.
Yep.
Some honorable mention names as well. So for the people, as we start to lay them out before they are on the clock, the Phoenix Suns, we'll get Rich's thoughts and Derek's thoughts, but just a few off the top for you, for the people who haven't read the story. And where would you like to start?
Well, so I'll add, a few of these guys are guys that Derek also wrote about early in the process when we were talking about, obviously, a month ago, you have no idea how the draft board is going to shake out. So someone like a Drake Powell, who we talked about a lot, he was initially viewed as, hey, maybe he'll be there at 35, but he ends up going in the early 20s
22.
last night to Brooklyn. So
Yang
some
Gang.
of these guys are, Yang was a guy that it was at least hey, maybe you take a punt on him at 35 or later, but boy, they took a punt, all right.
Well, and I think when I wrote about that at 35, that was higher than his projected draft stock.
Exactly. So crazy things happen in the final month of the draft process. But, the lead name for me, just because he made so much sense on multiple levels, was Rasheer Fleming. It does appear that he has been, our friend of the show, Jake Fisher, said that pick 31 trade that was made was essentially the Rasheer Fleming sweepstakes. And I understand that because he has an NBA body, 6'8", over 6'8" without shoes. I think he had a 7 foot plus. I want to say like a 7'2", 2.5 maybe. Or no, 7'5.25" wingspan. My mistake.
A quarter inch, man. You gotta give it to him.
Yeah,
can't be 7'5". It's 7'5".
Got to take
quarter
those,
inches, man.
Hey, I need all the
So huge forward size player,
heels on my shoes, man.
outstanding athlete at his size.
I wasn't thinking shoes.
Good weak side rim protector. I don't think anybody was. Good weak side rim protector. Very good rebounder. And the shot came around last year for the first time. And a lot of the Fleming concerns, as we've said on the show multiple times at this point, don't really matter for the Sixers. Like, no, he's not a self-creator. He's not much of a passer, right? But you would just bring him here, stick him out there and say, shoot the ball, cut, run the floor,
100%.
defend, and that's kind of it. I also think, to his credit, he has really good off-ball instincts. Like, he is just someone who tends to find the soft spots around the floor. And that's a thing that might get underrated in terms of it doesn't show up in the stats, but I think leads to good offense. But he's off the board. So some of the other guys that I think are worth noting here and that I think have been at least tenuously tied to the Sixers during this process, Ryan Kalkbrenner, somebody we talked about, elite rim protector, right? Now, my concern with him is that while he's a prolific shot blocker and has been a really good defender, he's a drop-only big that is not a great rebounder, right? And if you're going to play that style of defense, you need that guy to be a better rebounder than he has been.
One thing I will say about him, though, is even at that size, as tall as he is, he does move pretty well for that height. And 4-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year. And again, like you said, that's not nothing. I mean, the guy can defend. It's just a matter of how, in today's NBA, how is he able to hold up? Can he recover on certain things?
Yeah.
Will he get exploited out there in those matchups when they're searching and hunting those matchups? He can get caught sometimes.
He knows how to play that drop coverage.
Absolutely.
He knows again, he's not somebody who's going to switch or do anything like that. But in terms of quickness around the rim and just knowing where to be, all of those things, like it's hard to be better than him. I watched him play a ton in the Big East over the last few years. He is like a legit gigantic dude.
He's been in the Big East so
like
long.
7'6" wingspan, 7'1" without shoes. He's also you can see it even watching him on TV. Big time communicator. Like he's directing the troops, right? He's barking out orders at people. He's probably not my favorite guy there, but I think if you say this guy has an elite skill, Creighton was an elite defense basically the entire time he was there, and Creighton's never a good defensive team. That's never been their calling card. So
mostly offense,
that's somebody to take a look at if you're saying, hey, you need another big to add to the mix there, and then move on from Drummond.
He's been there so long, man. I feel like he played against Kale while he was in Philadelphia. He's been there that long.
The other guys that I think are probably more interesting to Sixers fans because they're in more of the wing forward department that people are looking at would be Noah Penda, the French. I'm trying to think of the comp for him. Is he like?
He honestly is. It's a little ridiculous to say. Like it feels lazy, but it is a little Nick Batum.
I was gonna say. I thought what I saw was a little Batumish, but I didn't watch him as much as you did.
It's a little lazy.
And then
it is lazy. But I admitted it.
And then there's Adou Thiero from Arkansas who. As we've talked about, he is a monster athlete, like just crazy physical tools, can do basically everything defensively, nose for the ball, rebounds, produces steals, can play at the point of attack and play off the ball and be a disruptor, plays super hard, is also a transition guy. Penda is, I think that his thing is, he's more of a passer, right? He's a connector. He's somebody who makes the quick reads, the quick decisions.
That is Batum,
right?
Passing while standing still. Yeah.
He's also a smart, again, more of the Batum comps. He's a smart defender more than he is anything else. Like beats guys to spots, low man rotations, like timing on the X outs and some of the other stuff. Like smart player. Now, granted, he's not a trustworthy shooter yet. He did make a big step forward this past year. I think, Derek, you can check my math on this. I think he was at like 37.5 on catch and shoot shots specifically, which is a good number. But it was the first year that he was even remotely close to average on threes. I think he was at 34 or 34-ish overall, somewhere in that ballpark. And that was the first year he was even close to that
Yeah,
range.
well, and the problem is probably even more so the volume. Like he's still,
Yeah.
I think, a hesitant shooter.
Yeah, so could be a record scratch guy, but a smart player. So he'll be in consideration there. But those are some of the names I've heard. And then Maxime Reynaud, if you go maybe more center, he is not a Kalkbrenner, right?
No.
His thing is he's going to shoot the ball. He shot 44% on spot up threes. He shot 49% on unguarded catch and shoot threes. He's going to be an elite spot up guy. And for one of those types of players, he's a very good rebounder. Like he was, when you shoot as many threes as he did, and you're coming up with like close to 3 offensive rebounds a game and getting double-digit rebounds overall, like that's tough to do. I don't know how he defends at the next level, but if you're just looking for an alternative option in the big man rotation, I think he makes a lot of sense to take a look at.
And he's got some ball skills too. Like
For
he
sure.
pass
Can put
a
it
little
on the
bit, he
deck.
can put it on the floor. Yep. No, and when Kyle brings up those shooting numbers, he took a high volume too. Like we're talking, and only his senior year. Before that, he was a low volume shooter. Senior year, he shot over 5 threes per game. So this isn't like Kyle brings up some of those catch and shoot numbers. These aren't like low sample size noise. I think the shot is real. Like I said, I think the face-up game and attacking the closeouts, I think that's real. I think he makes pretty good decisions. I agree with Kyle. I think he's a pretty atrocious defender. I don't trust him to really defend in space at all. He doesn't really protect the rim all that much. I don't know how you're going to hide him on that side of the floor, but he would be something unique that the Sixers really just have not had in their big man. And I think a lot of people have really been hoping they could get 5 out when Joel's on the bench. I do think there is a chance he goes off the board here before the Sixers.
I agree.
It would not shock me at all, which means Kalkbrenner, who quite frankly I probably like a little better as a prospect just because I value that rim protection a little bit more. But Maxime is like I said, a legitimate floor spacer, and that's something they just haven't had ever. Really.
One more name, and Devon, if you want to talk about him, because he was one of your guys you brought up. Mm-hmm. While he is a guard, and I know how insane it would be if they drafted and added yet another guard. Chaz Lanier is a guy that I've heard connected to them a little bit here, that he's maybe well thought of by the organization. And while it'd be tough to find room for another guard, he does bring some stuff to the table that certainly you would like. Yeah,
that scoring ability that he has, and the way that he did it too, because he would take those steps to getting to that, being able to be that type of scorer that you saw in his final year at Tennessee, especially when you watched him in the tournament, man. When between he and point guard, who I'm blocking on right now, but he and the point, he's coming around those screens, getting into that mid range, and even around the 3-point line, just the way that he can get hot. With his scoring ability. He has a pretty good wingspan as well at that size. And although, to your point, that you already have so many players on here, when we look at the 4 guards, if we include Quentin Grimes, we discussed that it may be an overcrowded backcourt, but we also saw that where it worked for the 2 teams that were participating in the NBA Finals, and they had a decent rotation of guards. And while the Sixers do have that with 4, doesn't mean that you can't have a 5th one. That's pretty good there with that size. Because again, he's not in the mold of we're talking another 6'2", 6'3" guy. We're talking about one that's around that 6'4", 6'5" range that has some pretty good
6'9"
size.
wingspan as well. I think he's a shade under 6'4" without shoes. So in that 6'5" or so.
Yeah, so you're still looking at a player who has pretty good measurements.
There's Mark Tatum, baby.
Score,
that's what I want to see right now.
And can score that basketball. So for him, I know it's not popular because everybody's talking about, but the one thing that everybody keeps saying about the guard is no small guards. He's not a small guard in the sense that as we talk about some of these others. So that's why I still like him.
The other name I'd bring up is Bogi Markovic. I think he is a guy who shot really well and is comfortable shooting. 6'11", forward, good feel for the game, able to make a lot of those quick decisions. Not a super athlete. I think physicality he might struggle with a little bit. But like I said, good size, floor spacer, makes good decisions. Could be an interesting prospect.
And who did he play for?
Mega.
Mega, baby.
It's not Mega Lex anymore. It's Mega basket, mega, whatever.
They've changed the name,
and they don't have the
times.
the bubblegum jerseys anymore, which pains me.
What are they doing?
So with him, he was the guy that I threw in with the other targets in our write-ups today. The other guys I wrote pretty extensively about. Bogey, I said, I got to be honest, I haven't watched him at all, or basically at all. But people I know who have watched him are like, he's 6'11" and can shoot. Okay, sounds good. Take a flyer on him.
When you're 6'11" and can shoot, you're willing to overlook some other flaws.
Yeah.
All right, Rich, anybody that you want to add to it? We're not going to take a break yet. We want to hear who the first choice is here with the proposed trade between Minnesota and Phoenix, but some names maybe for you that you like at this spot at 35.
So these guys have studied it way more than I have. So I want to kind of stick to the names they were talking about. And the two that really stuck out to me are Penda and Fleming. Now, Fleming, they're not going to be able to draft because he's about to get taken right now with the first pick in the second round. Those two feel like guys that maybe 10 years ago would have already been picked, because the 3-and-D archetype, that was something where if you were big, if you defended, and you could make a catch and shoot three, that was good enough. Now you're seeing with teams like Indiana now, another reason, we've talked about all the reasons they made the NBA Finals. Part of the reason they made the NBA Finals was they didn't have a guy that you could hide a bad defensive player on, right? Everybody could make a shot. Everybody could get in the screening action. Everybody could run the floor. Everybody was pretty athletic. Now, these guys, you might be able to hide a player like that right now in Rasheer Fleming, because it seems like to me, just watching him play, he's pretty good at the defense, the transition, the weak side shot blocking, all of that stuff. He just doesn't do a lot with the ball in his hands.
Right.
And with Penda, it does seem like, he might be a little bit of a passer, but he might not be able to put the ball on the floor. And it's like, okay, there are limitations for that. The thing that I like about both those guys, and so I guess the focus turns to Penda because he's going to be the only one available, is that something Kyle was talking about, like weak side defense and rotations. Not only is that like a huge part of basketball now that we just don't talk about, but it's like the Thunder are better than any team in NBA history at rotating and scrambling and all that stuff. But Nick Nurse has for years run a system, and he still runs a system that is like very heavy on rotations, crashing and on drivers, Xing out, all that stuff. And the Sixers had a bunch of old small guys who couldn't do it last year. So if you're telling me that you get somebody in VJ Edgecombe who one of the best things he already does is rotate, I was watching some of his highlights last night. Some of those weak side shot blocks. Wow. Unbelievable stuff. Anyway, if you can get another player that maybe you can throw into this system, I would have some interest in those guys. Now, when you bring up Kalkbrenner and you bring up the kid from Stanford as well, how much do you guys feel like, all right, the Sixers right now they are going to have Andre Drummond. They're going to have Joel Embiid. Who knows how much he's going to play. They have Bona, who I think we all were impressed by last year.
Yeah.
Things like the idea that Bona is their backup center this year is not crazy to any of us, I don't think. Do you care about any of that stuff when it comes to drafting another big?
I think it's the only thing that would make it weird is like because Drummond is there, and none of us want to play Andre Drummond at this point, I don't think. But just rostering another big, and like a true big, rostering another true big is pretty tough given that you're so loaded in the backcourt now and you don't have a lot of available roster spots. I'm a little leery about adding another big to that mix, but if you think it's the best guy available, I don't think it's crazy.
I'm not leery about upsetting that locker room. I am very leery about watching Andre Drummond play basketball next year, so roster that big. I'm all for it.
Derek's like, get 4 bigs on the roster. It doesn't matter.
All right, well, as Fleming gets picked should we thank
totally support
our
that.
friends and partners here while the draft gets going, Devon, or how should we do this?
After the pick, let's rock and roll with.
I think it's going to be Fleming, guys.
You think so?
You think?
No way.
Got it.
Shocker.
Bam.
Shams did leave a little bit of uncertainty. He's like, they're going to continue doing their homework, but they're leaning towards, it's like there's nobody to draft in front of you. Of course they're taking him. Just say it.
Hey, man, as soon as Jake said the sweepstakes, we knew exactly what it was for Rasheer Fleming. So selected by the Minnesota Timberwolves, and a proposed trade will be moved to the Phoenix Suns. He's not a shooting guard, and he's not a center, so
Billy Lang there?
that's a pretty good spot for him. Don't see Billy Lang at the table.
Okay.
Yeah, don't see Billy Lang at the table.
oh,
So,
we're-
hey, man, good for him, though, to get this opportunity. Camden kid, and, hey, few picks away, and the Sixers may have had a chance to to do their due diligence and select a kid from Camden. All right, we'll take a quick pause. We come back. On the clock are the Boston Celtics at pick number 32.
Ooh.
And then we'll be a few picks away from the Philadelphia 76ers. You are watching and listening to the PHLY Sixers NBA Draft Special presented by Rothman Orthopedics and TrueMark Financial here on Thursday, round 2 on the PHLY Sixers podcast. All right, folks, and I got to tell you about the good people at Ace Hardware. Well, he's going to Utah. I don't know how happy he was, but
That's Ace Bailey, not Ace Hardware.
oh, my bad.
Ace Hardware's local, Devon.
It
You
is
know
local,
this.
yeah. But the guy, we had it all set up for him, and he messed it up where he can have a sponsorship immediately. He had to go to Utah. So, hey, man, listen, you got an outlet. You said you fixed last summer, and maybe you did not. Well, you don't want to do that, especially if you need to plug up some fans and you need to plug up the air conditioner or something if you don't have central air. You got to get that stuff right. And Ace Hardware Home Services, they've got the person for you. And because now they're not just the helpful hardware folks, they're also the helpful home service and repair folks, from plumbing and electrical to heating and cooling. They've got the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long, even in a heat wave here in Philadelphia. Ace Hardware Home Services. They bring helpful home, they helpful you love, from the store now to your front door, from Philly to the Jersey Shore at Ace Hardware Home Services. Whatever they get ready for the next job, whenever. They remember what to bring. They bring experience. They're local plumbers and techs that handle everything from repairs and seasonal maintenance to installation and upgrades. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get your new home project started.
And guys, now let's talk about our friends at Art of Words. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And Dan Duffy, this local Philly artist, proves it. Each piece is made entirely from handwritten words, like every eagle forming the link and every Philly shaping Citizens Bank Park. And guys, it's not just sports. They have musical artists on their site. Go check out artofwords.com. They will really pretty much draw anything you're looking for. Dan has captured Boathouse Row, Reading Terminal, the Philly skyline, the Jersey Shore, and more. And these are unforgettable gifts for sports fans. And housewarmings, if you want to do it for Father's Day is past, but really any occasion, might think ahead for Christmas in a few months. And guys, it's available for dozens of teams and cities too. He's not just drawing Philly sports. He can take requests, and he started right in the K-Lot, right by the stadiums. And it's available. These pieces, guys, they are total conversation starters, and you'll spot a name, then another, and then soon everyone is talking about their favorite sports memories. So go check it out at artofwords.com. That's artofwords.com, and use code PHLY at checkout for 15% off your purchase.
We also want to tell you about Rothman Orthopedics, because we want to make sure that you are back to doing what you love, especially this summer. Whether you're biking by the Schuylkill, chasing your kids through the sprinkler, or finally tackling that hiking trail, it's tough when your body doesn't cooperate. That's where Rothman Orthopedics comes in. From aches after a pickup game to old injuries flaring up on summer adventures, Rothman's team of experts is here to help. With evidence-based care and a commitment to restoring your mobility, they'll get you back out there and stronger than ever. Don't let pain put your summer on pause. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to book your appointment today and get back to doing what you love pain-free. Rothman Orthopedics, getting you back to the summer game is their mission.
And thanks, as always, to our friends at TrueMark Financial, who are telling us that summer's here. It means the kids are out and about, hanging with friends, maybe even picking up a summer job. It's the perfect time to set them up with something that teaches real-world money skills and gives them a little freedom. The Greenlight Debit Card and Money app. If you're a TrueMark Financial member, you can get a free Greenlight account for your kids or teens. Simple way for them to manage their own money, whether it's from a job, allowance, or birthday cash. They'll get their own debit card, set savings goals, track spending, learn how to budget. While you stay in the loop from your phone, you're still in control, but they get to learn how money really works in everyday life. So before summer rush kicks in, Greenlight is a great way to help your kids build smart money habits that stick with them long after the season's over. Head to TrueMark.com/Greenlight. Get all the details. Sign up today. Don't miss the chance to set your kids up for financial success.
And you know what? I'll knock one more out and tell you about Bet365.
Because Noah Penda just got knocked out, Devon.
Yes, he did.
He's
And
going to Orlando, though. He will not be a
Bet365,
Boston Celtic.
And that is whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Bet365 has over 90 million users worldwide, live streams of 780,000 events a year. They have pioneered live in-game betting. And today, Bet365 offers the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across all 78 sports there. New customers, breaking news there. For new customers on Bet365, not in the draft. New customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get that $150 in bonus bets again. That is win or lose. And when you do, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Really
Welcome
mad
back
watching these Noah Penda
to the
highlights
PHLY
right now.
Sixers podcast, the NBA Draft Special, presented by Rothman Orthopedics and TrueMark Financial. And Kyle said it, the Orlando Magic have traded with the Boston Celtics, moving into spot number 32, and they have selected at that spot Noah Penda to go to the Orlando Magic.
So just gaming this out a little bit here, I would guess if Charlotte does not trade one of these, it'll be a big and a guard. I don't think so. I think when the Sixers end up on the clock at 35, one of Kalkbrenner or Reynaud is likely to be available, and you probably end up with Thiero there as well as Markovic, if I had to guess. But we're gonna have to wait and see.
I could see them using the center. They ship out Mark Williams to Phoenix in that deal, and then a team like Charlotte, typically what they'll do is they're going to take a Duke guy. They're going to take a North Carolina guy somewhere in there. So Tyrese Proctor will go a little bit early, right? Maybe a tad
that
bit
wouldn't
early.
be surprising.
Yeah, so when you talk about the guard, that might be the guard that they go to. Maybe they go Chaz Lanier, but I could see that happening with the Charlotte Hornets here on the clock for 33
I think your
and
instincts
34.
are right on that one, Devon. I think if I had to
The Kalkbrenner thing
bet on
just-
it, Proctor would probably be the guard if they take
Yeah,
one.
and Kalkbrenner makes sense again because who is their big on that roster right now? With Richards gone, with Mark Williams now traded, who is their big?
It's a good question.
That is a great question.
I can't think of it off the top of my head of who their center.
Nurkic is there, isn't he?
Oh, that's right.
In that trade,
Went
yeah, he
back
was.
the other way in the Phoenix trade.
Yeah, he was moved all
They
over.
they still have Grant Williams, I believe. No, he's not
Coming
a
off
true
an
big, but
ACL.
he'll play power forward. He's in the front court.
Yeah, small
I think
ball.
that's it. Taj Gibson was there.
So that's why big, to your point, but I would think more traditional than the spacing big for that team because they don't have any size in the front court.
I think, by the way, the two guys that I was probably the most interested were Penda and Fleming.
Tough start to the round.
Of this group at the beginning. You're seeing, too, like, teams are being super aggressive and trading up. Have you seen these, like,
multi-pick
for Fleming,
trades? Yeah.
That's 4 second-rounders.
Yeah.
And for Penda, 3 second-rounders.
Yeah.
So Derek, with that, these sometimes, especially high up, they get guaranteed contracts where they treat them like
a
first
second
round.
round exception.
So
now, yep.
what does that look like money wise?
I think it's either a 3 or a 4 year deal with 1 year as a team option. I don't know. It's for less than the 2 year minimum. So it's a pretty cheap contract. And what's nice about it from a team perspective is you have the option of basically preventing them from being an unrestricted free agent. So if you keep them for 3 years, you can make them a restricted free agent. You get a lot of control out of it.
Sometimes it'll bite you because Dallas, when they played around with Jalen Brunson in that contract situation, it came back and got them.
Well, but this was before that.
Yeah.
But the exception existed.
I think, Rich, to your point here, the aggressive moves probably speak a little bit to the class thinning out, right? If a lot of these guys had not gone back to school, we went through every day, I felt like on the show, like, oh, another guy returned, another guy returned, another guy returned. And so that, maybe that doesn't impact the top 10 or the top 20, but then there's a point in this draft, and I think it is right around 35 where the Sixers are at, where the talent just kind of goes off of a cliff. And so I think these teams are trying to get ahead of it and make sure if they're going to use one of these picks, they're going to secure one of the guys that has a real chance to make an NBA roster and make an impact.
I mean, it's always been the case that after 40 or so, those second round picks become a lot less valuable in just the eyes of the teams. It's not to say that they won't make some of those picks or they won't, maybe stash with some of those picks, but it seems like it's even more valuable now in the era of NIL, those first few picks in the second round.
I do think this is a weird spot for Penda, because I don't think he has a perimeter foot speed to be like a 3 very often. I think he's much more of a 4. His shooting's a question mark. His quickness is a little bit of a question mark. And this is a team that desperately needs shooting and more perimeter-oriented players. I'm not sure this is the perfect spot for him, but I think he's just so far and away one of the 2 or 3 best remaining players that I understand being aggressive, but I do think that was a weird spot for him.
All right, Charlotte Hornets for their first pick here at 33.
Ooh.
And they are taking...
I will not say it, but
a Duke guy. How
You
about
just got
that?
the wrong
I
one.
got the wrong one. Yeah. Hey, man, this guy is when we talk about toughness and dog and all of that, man, look at that. Zion James going at 33.
But that's good because
That is good.
that's someone that I think we probably didn't anticipate going with one of these picks. That leaves a few names on the board here.
Really
Yeah.
enjoyed watching him play. I'm kind of stunned he got picked this high.
Yeah,
This high.
I thought he was
Yeah.
a 40s guy.
Now, I did at one point have a conversation with someone that said, watch out for him early in the first round. I was like, no way. Just kind of because, right, look, again, the defensive skill, like you said, Rich, he was fun to watch on the college level for everybody else who does what they do, the shooting from Proctor, the things that we know that Knipple and
Will they
Flag
take Proctor
do.
now too and complete
You
the,
might as
the
well.
Duke trifecta?
You might
be
as well.
amazing.
Yeah, you might as well. But he had his role, right, Rich? And it was you go out there and you defend and make everybody uncomfortable, and he did that.
And on offense, he knocked down threes and kept the ball moving too.
Yeah.
I just, again, if he was
Wow.
like 6'9", right, then you're talking
He's a
about
first round.
a better player. But anyway,
Good for the Sixers.
good for the Sixers.
Yeah.
Pushes some guys down the board a little bit.
I'd be surprised if they don't go big here. When talking about Charlotte for the next pick. Now that you
if
go
I
in that
had to
direction.
guess, it's going to be Kalkbrenner, but
Again, man, they don't have any bigs.
I don't know. I
Nurkic.
don't know. I wasn't expecting the pick they just made.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
also,
Nurkic.
this is always funny to me. The team has 2 back-to-back picks, but we're getting a commercial break, and they have to get
They're
the full 10
fielding calls,
minutes. It's
Kyle.
like,
Call it
They're
in,
fielding
man.
come
calls.
on, man.
Yeah.
Make the damn picks.
You saw the
go,
offers
go
coming
back
in.
to back. If you're not making the damn picks, make the trade. Do one way or another.
Just like a fantasy football draft when you're
Oh.
in like the 5th round, you're hitting.
There's
pick
always
real
one
fast.
guy too. There's one guy in the fantasy draft who you're always waiting
taking
on.
the
It's
90
like
seconds,
you
yeah.
hear the if you are using the sound effects on like ESPN or wherever you're doing it at, you hear the tick, 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 tick. You're like, come on, buddy. Stinking Charlotte Hornets.
So, Derek, they went Knipple, and then they go, another Dookie there with James.
Yeah, and look, I think James has a decent chance to be a role player. I think he's got certainly the frame, 6'5", 6'6", with just really well built. And over the last 2 years, he shot the ball much better. So I don't think he's exciting. I don't think anyone's going to be penciling him in, but he's got a chance.
All right. So, with this, let's say one of the bigs go off. Do you just lean more big, whatever remaining big is?
Did you not hear me about Andre Drummond?
Well, yes, I did multiple times, many times.
I
would love to just trade Drummond for this pick straight up. Would be an excellent piece of business for me personally.
I mean, Markovich intrigues me. I'm intrigued by that, and they could use somebody who could stretch the floor from that spot. And Adou, I can't give up because he's just so much darn fun to watch. He might just be a summer league player because I'm not sure you can put him on this squad.
Adou is the exact player that I self-identify that I always believe in, and they almost never work out. It's like, man, he is such an ass kicker on defense. He's such a great athlete. This
he's a
and
pretty
that
good
high
driver,
motor.
too. Like, he can get all
good
his
transition player. And you ask him to shoot, and the whole arena just knows that thing is not going in.
From Arkansas too.
Get the Ben Simmons
Go
treatment,
get him
man.
Adou.
Yeah. A little less bozo in his game, which I appreciate, but even less of a shot, which it's tough to work.
Go get him, Rick.
What do you? So
on draft night.
maybe
Look at
we'll
that.
save Adou talk in case they take him, because I do think there is a decent chance that they draft him when all is said and done. If it comes down to if Charlotte goes off script again here, who's at the top of the board for you, Derek? I think you probably were the most thorough of all of us going
Sure.
through this class.
I mean, on just ignoring team, Adou is top of my board.
Okay.
Next up, it was Kalkbrenner and then Reynaud.
Yeah. I think that's where I'm at too.
But I don't know if I could actually take Adou. I really don't.
I'm
Light him up, Chaz.
I'm hearing some things. Do you guys want me to spoil it?
About this pick, no.
About
Well, I have some confirmation on who it is.
Okay.
all right. I mean, I can't
Devon-
take it away from all the thousands of people that were watching.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Kalkbrenner's going 34 to Charlotte.
Okay.
So on the board, there's still Reynaud, there's still Thiero, there is Markovic, Lanier.
Take the row, bring back the used minivan, and let's have at it
The used minivan.
at the 5 for the small ball 5 that we saw.
I'm trying to.
All right. If it's not going to be one of the people that we talked about, who do you think it's going to be at 35?
None of those guys,
what's
including Chaz. Take
yeah.
Chaz.
Take Chaz.
If you're just talking about pure player
Yeah.
value, I think you could make a case for Cam Jones still.
That's a good name.
Like I think the fan base would lose their minds if they take another guard, and I don't think that's even. I don't think that's wrong. If they take another guard here, that the fans would freak out. But pure value wise,
Can I ask and throw one? Because you guys know, especially Rich, because we watched a lot of these at night while you guys were at the arena and we double dipped on the television. Johni Broome that we discussed drives me crazy because he can't make free throws. He's a rebounding machine though, and he knows how to box out. He will go after the basketball. He does those things. So when we're still talking about front court help, he is a guy that is
There you go, official Kalkbrenner to
makes
the
sense.
Hornets.
That makes sense. Good pick.
Yeah.
Good pick.
Yeah, for sure.
But Broom, what do you, Rich? We watched him. So what do you think, Rich?
He never struck me as a guy that was going to translate great to the pros.
I agree.
Offensively, I'm very concerned.
Yes, 6'9", 250, but still.
And I'm
it's
still
just-
going to advocate for Thiero. The offense, I don't know
Let's
what the
go.
hell he's going to do.
Yeah, but like Broome struck me as like he was just a guy who got buckets in college, and that's great. You know, good back to the basket, good kind of 10-foot sort of game, fundamentally sound, all of that stuff. But like that doesn't really work in the NBA. We're not running offense through Johni Broome up here. No, I'm with you. I think I would take Adou and just I don't know. Hey, it might not work. You know, obviously the shot is completely broken right now, but create some havoc.
To be fair to Broome, like he does some things very well,
It's the
right? Like
rebounding.
he's a great rebounder. He's strong. He's tough. I think he's got some underrated passing
he
talent
does.
on
Yeah.
top of that, which we've talked a lot about the complete dearth of playmakers that the Sixers have had on this
And
team.
how many times have we all talked about, including the listeners, where they pointed in the chat, rebound the basketball. They don't have enough people rebounding the basketball. He rebounds the ball, but I mean, how many minutes is he going to play a night?
What position is he going to guard?
I don't know. He does not. He does not. He can't move like, let's say, Dembona at that spot. He doesn't move like that. So I just bringing up the name because I know there are people that like him. VG talked about him when we were on the show this morning. He likes
would
him.
not be at the top of the board for me. So
Neither would I. But I figured I'd bring the name up. Good
I don't know
call.
what's going on out there.
Good call.
That sounded-
Look at that miserable photo that was
What's
just
that?
sitting there.
Thunder? Or did somebody hit their knee?
I don't know. I
Chris
think
hit
Chris,
his-
our social media maven,
It sounded like thunder. It was so loud.
People, people think editing video is a piece of cake. It's
It is not. It is
It's a
not.
dangerous job, man.
Yeah, it is not.
Occupational hazard.
All right, so Reynaud, Thiero, those are the names. Chaz Lanier for me, also in the mix. Any Tyrese Proctor interest?
I just can't do it. Not on this roster.
No? Any interest? No?
Not over the two guys
Okay.
that we have.
No, I agree,
available.
but I gotta ask it.
No.
It just reminds me of Jared McCain because they played together, right? They were in the backcourt, right? They're bombing threes, both of them. No, I wouldn't take him.
Same. So
I could see him on another roster, but not the roster where there's 4 guards already.
nah, he can fill it up somewhere else. Fill it up somewhere else. Maybe he goes to Detroit. Maybe they take another guard in Brooklyn. Why not?
Sure.
One more second round pick.
Really running it down here. We're under a minute to go.
Yeah, they are.
On the
Well,
clock.
we appreciate everybody for watching, and we're all waiting just like you are, and we'll find out here shortly. The show is presented by Rothman Orthopedics and TrueMark Financial Credit Union, and it's been a blast to be partnered with them over these two nights of the NBA draft. How you like this, Derek? With instead of just making it the one night, you make it two in the theater of it all.
Sure, I like it.
I don't.
Well, I'm trying to be nice because we make a lot more money with
Well,
two
for
nights.
that part, that's beautiful. But yeah, I would say midnight last night.
Are they going to run out of time?
Just
Oh my
do the
God.
show. They're contemplating. They're getting phone calls right now.
What did they used to do? 2 minutes for the second round?
Yes. Yeah. It was
like-
5
Boy,
for the
that
first,
was
2 for the
beautiful.
second.
But you would get done
and
like
you'd be
what?
done by midnight. And you'd be done.
Yeah, you get done at midnight. So 10 seconds, everybody.
Doing picks?
Team needs facilitator 3-and-D wing from Bobby Marks. Look at that. He said facilitator. Still on this roster right now, even after acquiring VJ Edgecombe. Come on.
What's going on here?
Cam Jones is going on. That's what's going on. Going to shock everybody. Take another guard and have at it.
Man.
It's wild. I mean, at this point of the first pick, we knew they're holding on to the second pick longer than the first one.
Hey, man.
Trying to get that Drummond trade, I'm telling you.
That's
All
right.
right, listen.
The language.
I
Got to
don't
get the
think
language
it's-
right in there. All right. What are you doing? All right, Derek, who's your guess? Without knowing anything, who's your
I
guess?
think it's Broom.
Don't you lie to me like that.
I think it's Broom.
Wow.
Call VG. Get him on the show.
I-
VG will be happy about that one.
I knew this would happen. I knew it.
Broom.
Kyle.
All right.
Kyle.
All right.
That's an interesting one. It
With Reno sitting there. Different type of
Reno
big.
sitting there.
Different big.
Yeah.
I'm just talking bigs. I mean, I'm talking
Thiero was
wings.
sitting there. Like, yeah. So the thing that I think is tough to wrap your brain around with this one, other than he's super old, is that it doesn't really fit with what they've been selling for. Like, here's what this summer looks like, right? We're getting younger. We're getting more athletic. We're doing this, and we're not so much focused on the right now. Like, really, the justification for taking Broom is more of you're hoping that he comes in right away and can translate the rebounding, translate some of the stuff in the front court. Maybe you say you buy the shot. Maybe.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't.
I personally don't, but there are some people
right.
that said, "Hey, he made some
Yeah.
progress this year." Like, I guess if you're trying to,
It's a super set shot that he takes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Slow.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's part of my issue because
the
because as physical as he is too, again, I bring up the free throws because we saw it every time we were watching the game, and I'm like, all right, here you go, 2 minutes in the clock, and they're going to start fouling. You know he's either going to split them or miss both. It's not make both. And that was a problem for me. Just being clear, that was a problem for me.
Yeah. And look, he can protect the rim, but he's, to me, pretty slow-footed.
Yes.
Like, I really worry about his translation on both sides of the court. Great rebounder.
Great
tough,
rebounder.
Strong. He's going to compete. I'm just not sure he has the foot speed. I don't trust the perimeter shot. I certainly have my concerns.
So how does he get on the floor? Here, like what kind of lineup do you put on the floor where you maximize what he brings without hurting yourselves because of the weaknesses or the deficiencies he has in his game at this point? Given what they have right now.
Clearly, if they're banking on the rebounding, not just on the defensive side, he can run too. So I'll give him that. He's not slow-footed at all. He can run. If they're banking on the fact that the rebounding part of it is going to be, you're also looking at the offensive rebounds. And with the offensive rebounds, that now when you say adding players around him on the floor, where are those shooters? You get the ball, and yes, you can take it right back up, but you find that man and reset the offense. You find that open man around the perimeter and give yourself a shot with that 14 seconds that you just created with that offensive board. That's something where you're going to have at least 2 to 3 shooters on the floor at all times with him at that. Now, as far as he's at the 5, at the 4, you're going to need someone like Paul George out there with him. Maybe you can run a little big man kind of pick and roll with him as well because his hands are good.
Yeah.
So if he can secure it, he's very fundamental. And
like great ball screen guy. He will
100%.
make contact, and he's going to help your guards get separation.
Receive that
when
on
we
the
look
roll.
at like VJ and McCain and Maxey.
And the problems that we
giving
talked
them a
about
runway.
with Bona not having the good hands, his hands are good. So when you have that, and if that is in play, he can finish at the rim. We do know that. The problem is when you get there, he gets fouled. He's going to get to the free throw line, and he's probably going to shoot 59, 62%.
Yeah, that'll be a
At the
problem.
line, and that'll be a problem. But those are the type of players I would have. Shooters and just a bunch of guys who can handle the basketball while out there.
So I would add, once again, I think to some degree, this is also a culture player, right? Like this is a guy who's really well known as a super intense competitor, like came from a smaller program for his first couple of years, makes the jump to the SEC, is just a real grind it out, get in your jersey, just outwork people type of player. Now,
And played in a winning program.
he did. Like they were a constantly very, very good elite team while he was there. And I can't sit here on every show and be like, boy, they don't have any passers. And then they add a guy who's both a rebounder and a passer and turn your nose up at it. I'm just interested to see what their kind of vision for him is, right? Because a 6'9" center who was a very good defender at the college level, but you have to figure out, how does that translate, right? He is not an explosive athlete. He's someone that is more of a below the rim guy. And so how do you structure the lineup, especially as we're talking about adding a guy like Renault, like a shooting big man? All the bigs outside of Joel Embiid are non-shooters, right? Andre Drummond definitely is. Adem Bona, while he's working on a lot of stuff, right now definitely is. Broom is not yet a shooter. Again, we talked about, showed a little bit of progress, and there's Thiero to Brooklyn, one pick later.
No point guard.
He'll get some shots.
He'll get some shots.
He'll definitely be cutting off all their passers there. So look, it is not the direction I would have went, but I'm interested to see what Darryl in the front office say in terms
I am
of
too. So
how he's going to be used.
to be fair to the pick, as I said, the things about good hands, good motor, winning program, can finish at the rim, very physical, and the rebounding. So that's five to six things right there that he does very well. Older player, so probably doesn't have to come in and sit and learn too long where he can give you those. If you go in a different center position, Adem Bona is one way. He's the more athletic one, high leaper, can get to the rim that way, where he's more of the below the rim player, where you're also looking at that passing, having those dribble handoffs that we talk about, the screen game of just the rolling. I am very curious to see how they do it, how they put it together. When you look at the roster, because of the fact that they don't have a traditional four, they have more of those stretch fours, Paul George and some of these other names that we'll throw out there.
Watching these Thiero
It's-
highlights and
they
just
had
like,
to put this
God.
up, didn't they?
It is such a contrast too. We're talking like
Big time.
It's not this. I have no idea which one of these guys will have a better career. And
Yeah.
Thiero has some real pitfalls. But going from the below the rim toughness rebounding guy to holy shit, look at this guy flying all over the floor
Right.
is just a real,
Well, you get to see
real
him
contrast.
4 times a year now with the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes,
So
we
you'll
will.
see him that
and
way.
they are going to lose all four
All
of
four of
those
those
games
games,
next year.
no
'cause
doubt.
Brooklyn is going to stank.
So as much as I don't love the pick, of course I'm willing to, I want to see how, this is where the fun part of, I don't know, so I want to see how they do it.
No, I mean, and he's going to be an easy guy to root for because he is going to play really
Yeah.
well.
100%.
He's going to have
I think a lot of people
crowd
are
on
gonna
his
love him.
side. Yeah.
I'm not sure he's going to be like. I don't think you can put him. I don't trust his shot nearly enough to put him next to the
Like at a
traditional big
4?
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
like either Bona or even Embiid.
So if you had to guess, what do you think their rationale is for it? Like, let's
I
not
mean-
even say how he's going to play in the pros, but just like, is it a character play? Is it did he do well in the analytical models? Like what?
I think that is absolutely true,
It is
right?
true.
Because he put up 19 and 11, over 2 blocks a game, shot 51%
No, his
from the
stats are strong.
field,
Yep.
3 assists a game, and he's has an almost 2-to-1 assist turnover ratio. I think this could be as simple as like, this is a stats model king.
Now, most stats models should adjust for age
Yeah.
and experience. But he was hyper productive earlier in his career too. Granted, a
Yes.
different conference, but still hyper productive. I just think like most people I talk to are really concerned how much of that's actually going to translate.
Yeah. But again, like, so here's what I would say. If you're going to make the optimist case on this pick, sometimes it's just as simple as he was really damn good.
He was
right?
good.
Like he has been ultra productive every single year of his career
Yes,
on
he
2
has.
different teams. Last year was basically a unanimous across the board All-American. Every team that he could be put on, All-Star, All-American, whatever. All college basketball. We could just start making stuff up. Do the old sporting news.
I like all college basketball.
Whatever the
All
list
Street
is,
Smiths,
he
all
was
of
on
it.
it, right? Because he just, and all the questions are not, was this guy good in college? They're, how does his game work at the next level?
Yes.
And when he is not as
can't
much of
wait.
a, because he won't be a featured guy. He'll be someone who's coming in and you expect him to be more of like a dirty work player.
How many
right?
backup centers in the NBA like is the offense run through them?
Very few.
Very few.
Very
Yeah.
few.
Yeah.
Much easier to run it through TJ McConnell or,
Yeah.
or a wing or something like that. Which is why, like, when I look at a backup center, I generally want you to do one of two things: shoot threes or block shots. And that's why Dembona, great, right? Like he has the ability to protect the rim, and he can be that classic rim runner. I just don't feel like that is a high usage position. Now, I mean, there have been some cases in recent years. Montrezl Harrell, before he was on the Sixers, there are some players who, they are below the rim players that are just really active, really physical, great scorers that kind of break the mold. But it's not an archetype I would bet on.
Especially when
Where
you
I'd say.
talked about Kalkbrenner and the way you said the two things you look for, at least in that one, you get the shot blocking for sure. And here, can he block shots? Sure. He can hold up on the low block, but also can he keep his feet moving on the perimeter when he gets caught in that switch and it is someone else that's just going to get loose in front of him, and can he stay in front of that man, not foul too much, and he was
a smart player.
Yes, he
at
was.
Auburn,
Yes, he was.
And I will give him a lot of credit for that. It really, like, the way he played at Auburn last year, I don't really have too many complaints outside of, like you said, like the free throws. And the fact that he wasn't a great outside shooter, sub 30% guy. But he was the second best player in college basketball last year.
Yeah.
Like,
He
Cooper
was very
Flag was
good.
the only one who was better than him. And Auburn had a terrific year, make the Final Four. Probably could have won the national championship if it wasn't for Walter Clayton. Johni Broome was the best player on that team. Now they were loaded elsewhere. Very good coach. All of those things. Can that stuff translate to the pros? He is like the classic. I'm not sure what worked in college is going to work in the pros, especially in a lower usage backup type of role.
All right, folks, make sure that Bree put up a poll for the draft here during our
summer league
show in the
schedule.
chat, and says that the question is, how do you feel about Johni Broome?
Oh, they are playing
at
on Thursday, by the way.
35?
I'm happy about that because we will be there on that Thursday.
That's the Thursday that we're there.
Yeah.
San Antonio was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
10
That's going to
p.m.
be Dylan Harper versus VJ to open Summer League, baby. All right.
And
All right.
Thomas and
and
Mac, that'll be a big one.
you get Johni Broome, and who did the Spurs take at 14?
Carter Bryant.
Carter Bryant.
Yeah, so we get to see
Might see,
could
see Jared McCain. We
Maybe
don't
a
know on
Dembona.
that.
Give me
a
Jared.
couple of games at Dembona.
Oh, man.
Ah,
Imagine if we get like Justin Edwards out there, too.
Oh.
Oh.
we're in the money
Cooking
now.
with gas.
We're in the money.
Thomas and Mac
Cooking
will be
with
on
gas.
fire that night.
Go vote on the poll that Bree has up there right now again, and let us know how you feel. You like the pick or for Johni Broome? One thing I know for sure, we're going to be talking about this one for a good portion of the night. So thank you, Sixers, for taking Johni
100%.
Broome for that. And also, we now have our guy back in the mix, gang. Pump It Up segment is happy as hell.
All
He
right.
says in his
Pump
super
got one of
chat,
his guys.
I'm happy
Pump
now.
it up.
Janai is my guy. Maury, you ended the draft 1-1. Goodbye, Joel. We got your replacement.
Okay, so actually, that's a segue. That's a segue.
Thank you,
Did we
B-Pump.
skip over that Lanier went to the Pistons?
Well, we didn't say it yet, but
Okay.
I did see it.
Okay.
Yeah. Good spot, by the way. I like that.
It is a good spot for him.
Yeah.
So, Joel, there was some news, like a little bit of news, but not really news from Daryl yesterday about, everything's going well, should be ready by training camp or whatever. I think he's going to be ready sooner than that. I think that's just him saying like everything's on schedule, nothing to worry about. Who the hell knows? Here's what I would say. While I think all the things we've heard so far have been positive, when you draft a center that I think very clearly is not going to be able to play with Joel, certainly not in the short term, what does that say about your confidence regarding his ability to be on the floor this year?
I mean, what I would say is I don't necessarily it means they're anything happened to make them less confident. It means they lived through the same last year that we all did, and know that you need some backups. They also have eyes and watched Andre Drummond and knew that you needed.
Here's what I was going to say. If you're Andre Drummond right now, are you looking at this like, man, I got to opt out?
Well,
I don't think he will just because of the money, but
he'd much rather get waived because he's not.
To do that, it's probably a better pick than I thought.
when does he have until? Doesn't he have like until the 29th?
Yeah, it's
I'm
like
imagining
28,
Daryl
29.
taking a screenshot of like the pick and sending it to Drummond's phone. Like, hey, buddy, how you doing? Just to be clear, he would never do that, but it would be funny. It would be.
So my thing to your question
And here's
is,
what I'll say about Johnny. Even though I have a lot of concerns.
is it Johnny or Janai?
I think
Janai.
it's Janai.
I just say it wrong.
Okay.
Even though I have
with you.
concerns about how much of his game will translate, I think he will be better than Andre Drummond next year. So for that, I'm all for the pick.
and
I'm
then
changing my team.
and look, all kidding aside, I joke around about having the used minivan. They were in a bad spot where they didn't have a guy behind a Dembona because Andre Drummond wasn't available. Joel Embiid was already out, so you did not have that center to back up even a Dembona. And now, presumably, you do with this kid. You take him at 35, so he's going to be in the mix. Joel's still going to miss his 25, 30 games.
If we're lucky.
If we're lucky. I'm trying to be generous. If you're going to miss those games, you're going to have a backup out there behind a Dembona because we saw where there's the good of Dembona, and then sometimes he's going to get caught where he is in that foul trouble. He is having an off night, and you're going to need to go somewhere in another direction.
No, I think they needed another big man. I do. Even though maybe
100%.
you would have wanted a 4 here with this pick, I think they needed to find a way to get another big man.
Would you have preferred Kalkbrenner
Yeah, I would
in that spot? Just be, okay.
Yeah. And I would have preferred Maxime too, just because the intrigue of the stretch big was there.
Okay.
Listen,
But I think
the one thing I will say, the guy's going to rebound. And we have been dying for rebounding, watching this team for 10 years. They haven't had good rebounding.
I think I had Broom at like 40 or 42, somewhere in that range. So it's not a crazy reach.
No.
It just wouldn't have been with the guys who were available. A couple of guys who I think I wasn't expecting to fall. I would have gone a different direction, but we'll see.
Yeah. So interesting, man. We all like the VJ Edgecombe pick. And in this one, I think we all have our questions about the prospect here with Broom, but we understand also why they're going in that direction. They need help in the front court.
It's also a second-round pick, and what we've said is a draft that has thinned out the talent pool for a long time. So it's not
Pushed up.
If it doesn't work, it's not like I'm going to be hammering Daryl Morey.
No.
In the future.
No.
It's not an easy spot. To
and we
find
could
talent.
go through like all the guys that we listed, right? If we were to sit there and just run through the list, Thoreau, we already said, I don't know if the guy will ever shoot. Like
good point.
He was a dare shooter in college, right? Nobody's a dare shooter in college. So that could easily just be you're unplayable. Kalkbrenner was an elite rim protector, all that went right in front of them, so they didn't have the chance. But he's a drop big who really didn't rebound in college, which that's a bad combination. Right now, defensively, I don't know what he's going to do at the net. So anybody who's available at the 35th pick is coming in with some form of will this guy stay in the league? So if you're going to make a bet on somebody saying, hey, this guy was just one of the single best players in college basketball. Granted, he was 22 years old. He's about to turn 23 in July. So he's got some physical advantages, experience advantages, but I'm not going to sit here and get on a high horse about you took a first team All-American with the 35th pick in the draft.
And I know I'm the one that was more down than any of the four of us. I understand it. I get it.
He's a good rebounder too.
Exactly.
That's something we've complained about for a long time.
I cannot knock them for addressing the need that they certainly had there at that spot.
There is nothing worse than, and this has been the Sixers for a few years now, just a team that can't grab a rebound it's painful to watch.
I will be
man.
happy to like he'll just come in and have a possession where he grabs like 2 or 3 offensive rebounds, and we'll be sitting out there in the office. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, baby.
100%.
2 hands on the ball. How
Bree,
many times do we say that to Ricky Council?
We got to come
2
up
hands
with
on
something,
the ball,
Bree.
Ricky.
We got to come up with something with Johni now with
Well,
Broom.
That was also Mo. That was a big thing you used to say about Mo.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, Mo Bamba.
Quickly turned into
There
no
was a lot we
Bamba.
said about
Yeah, that was a Mo Bamba.
I was going to
there.
say, I said a lot more than that about Mo Bamba. None of it good.
All right, everybody, we appreciate you hanging out with us here as we hit the 9 o'clock hour for the PHLY Sixers NBA Draft Special on a Thursday night, round 2. The Sixers at 35 select from Auburn center, Johni Broome. That's going to have us having some conversations, people, and talking about this particular pick. He addresses a lot of things that the Sixers need. While he may not be the favorite, at least for us selecting at that spot, he is a good player. As Kyle said, you can't knock him when you're talking about an All-American and how he played on a winning organization there in Auburn and what he did. So some knocks there on some things that he does. We're also talking about second round
By the
here.
way.
So with that, that's a lot of defense right there.
Elijah Martin and CMB as a draft class is just all gas, no brakes on
Yes.
defense. Those two
And
are going to get after
Oh, no,
it.
he's going. I was going to say, isn't Davion Mitchell there? But no, he's in Miami now because that would have been another one there.
I
So
was looking it up tonight because I was interested in Elijah Martin. He's only 6'2". It does not feel that way when you watch him play.
when we had Sam on, he talked about how
That's one of his guys.
Yeah, one of his guys.
And all the people who I would consider the big like draft nerds, he comes up over and over again. It's like, I know he's not that big. I know he's not this, but boy, that guy gets out. He is a bulldog
It's that
defensively.
Davion Mitchell stuff.
I
man.
would say this. I don't believe in those types of guys anymore. I've been burned on them. They're I've written them off, but
Came up
I
big in
enjoyed
that-
watching him play a
In
lot.
that
in
run,
college,
he
for
came
sure.
up huge in that run. Just to continue, to let everybody know, our show is presented by Rothman Orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY if you need to make an appointment, and do so today. Also presented by Truemark Financial Credit Union as well. All right, so we think the Sixers are done here. Johni Broome is the pick. How do you, when you look at Johni Broome, VJ Edgecombe, how do you feel they made out between the 2 days?
I mean, I certainly think they got stuff that they need in the athleticism, especially with VJ, obviously. Just the rebounding. I do still think, like, this is where Brian Pumper, like, they need some wings. Like, Philadelphia desperately needs some wings. Because I don't necessarily
We have
think-
some out there if you
we
want
do,
to eat some.
and I will be getting some wings. Contrary to Brian Pumper's belief, I do like wings. But I think there's still pretty gaping holes on the wing as a forward, power forward. Like there's some serious holes. I like VJ. I like VJ a lot. That's going to drive the success of this draft class. Like whatever they do with the 35th pick, it's not going to be what we remember. Most likely. I won't say always. Every now and then a Jokic drops. I don't think Broome's going to be a Jokic, but we'll see. VJ is going to drive this. And we were all pretty high. I mean, we all had him in our top 4. So it's hard for us to be upset. I think VJ is going to be a guy that you're going to enjoy. I think people are going to really like Summer League. I think both of these guys are going to be fan favorites at Summer League. We'll see where they go from here. I do think it's going to be really fascinating what they do with the collection of guards that they have. We all assume that Grimes will be back and hopefully at a pretty reasonable price tag and something you can trade down the line. But I think in terms of just projecting out the roster and the rotation, there's still a lot of question marks. And there's honestly not a whole lot of ways to address it right now. Like they have that taxpayer mid-level, but it's kind of getting close to that second apron. Not sure they're going to use it. Not sure they're going to want to hard cap themselves.
How much is
like
that?
Five-ish?
Around that five-ish? Yeah,
Five and I have
right.
to double check. I feel like that should be on top of my head, but I haven't really thought
Sorry
about it all
about
that much. No, it's like right around 5. But there's just not that many ways to address it. So it'll be interesting.
I think they pretty desperately need Yabusele to return now.
Yes,
based on this pick. I don't know how you can. I don't know who you could get that could reasonably offer that level of play and production at that specific position with the resources they have available. Like
Unless they think Broom is that guy, but I think he's a
yeah, no, like I think maybe over time, if you say, hey, we believe in our ability to bring out his shot eventually and he can play some four, like, okay. But at the very least, that's a multi-year project. That's certainly not he's coming in and you're asking him to do that. So that means you need a real four. I think I'm not going to say you have to sell out to get him because you basically have one option, but you better be recruiting the hell out of that guy. Tyrese Maxey better be calling him every single day. Joel Embiid should be texting him in French. Please, s'il vous plaît, Yabu. S'il vous plaît.
So it's 5
Sacre bleu. It would be terrible if he left.
5.7 million is a taxpayer mid-level.
Yeah. And do we think he's getting more than that elsewhere? I know it seems like
San Antonio is the one that
people
everyone
are
brings up
hinting
every
at the
time.
idea that he's got more money on the table in San Antonio.
What does San Antonio have? Do they have the non-taxpayer to give him?
I'd have to look
think
at their
so,
cap
yeah.
situation.
Yeah. I can't. They don't have cap space. Yeah, it would have to be a taxpayer or non-taxpayer.
But they're beating the Sixers with the non-taxpayer.
I mean, if they're willing to offer it, but there's been a lot of rumors that they would.
Yeah, so I think Yabu now becomes a pretty big priority. Not that he wasn't before, but I don't know how you manufacture a guy who can play those minutes. It's a position that doesn't have a lot of depth around the league in general. It has become more of a wings masquerading as forwards league.
But they don't have any wings.
Oh, there's that too.
Like, yeah, some of the names that got thrown around, like could Jay Sean Tate be a fit here? I don't know. It's slim pickings, man.
We will probably do full shows on some of these guys that come up.
Yeah,
Emergency pods, man.
If they offer, I'm just doing real quick, top napkin math here. But I think they would have about $2 to $3 million under the second apron if they offer Gershon that taxpayer. So that's getting real close.
Offer it to him.
Offer it to him tonight.
And he knows it too. He knows it with it. Kyle,
God, they need to find someone to take Drummond's contract.
Yeah,
Really
I hear you. So what do you think, man? I mean, if this is it for them, what do you think?
I think they are banking on some internal development too, right? Like what they're doing sort of relies on Justin Edwards taking a step forward. He's got to be a big piece on the wing this year. I think they need Paul George to be. He's got to play more four. Like I don't think he wants to do that, right?
In that
and I don't love that. I don't think he loves that. I don't think any of us do.
For a while, and as the older he gets, the more I start to agree with him.
Yeah, like I think guys are gonna just go through him, especially on the glass. Like I don't feel super great about that, and that I think that's the harder part for me to get around with this pick specifically is that you don't necessarily want to draft for fit at 35 when a lot of these guys just aren't going to make it, but they don't have a lot of avenues to bring in guys. Like everything you've heard, and you can just look at their cap sheet and say this, they just don't have many options to bring in guys. It's going to be minimums, and you might use the taxpayer mid-level on somebody, but not much else there.
One guy that was a little higher on Broom that I respect, John Hollinger, who we used to work with, had him 20th.
Hey, look who it is, by the way.
Hey, there he is. He was. Did you see the video of him? He was working out today too in LA. I will say,
I think that might have been last week.
I agree.
It might have just been some.
I agree.
Did he have the Sixer shirt on last week?
And when he worked out,
I think that was post-workout in Philly, pre-draft.
And he took the gear.
Well, that makes sense because
took the
he said
gear
he was
with
in
him.
LA. I'm like, man, like
he took the gear with
around.
him. It was all good. Yeah. He's definitely in his hotel room.
I'll have to watch this interview later when we have some sound to hear what's going on this broadcast. But look at that big smile. He's very. He is not
happy.
Ace Bailey on that stage last night.
My man
hearing that he's going to Utah
is rocking his gear, isn't it? I don't blame him either. I'll be doing the same thing. So happy for him. Rich, you were saying though about Hollinger.
He had Broom as his 20th overall player, and he just was like, he said the same exact things we're saying, that like he doesn't fit the archetype of a backup center, but he was just like, I think he breaks that mold. I just think he's pretty good. And he mentioned Domantas Sabonis as somebody. Now this is probably in a backup role, somebody who you can throw the ball to at the elbow, you can run dribble handoff with, great rebounder, a guy who, and I think this is probably pertinent for Daryl and the Sixers, great shot blocking and steal rates in college too. That tends to be a guy that they sort of like. So that's where he has him. He likes to go against consensus a little bit. He was a very big Paul Reed guy back in the day as well. So I don't think he's quite as high on Broome compared to consensus.
And there's less bozo factor here with Broome. Paul Reed, for all we had a lot of fun with B-Ball Paul, but he was an adventure on many levels. Broome is not that. A little more stability, I would say.
When you interview him, he'll say like 4 of the most ridiculous words you've ever heard, and then he'll just smile.
He's the best, man.
He cracked me up.
B-Ball Paul, man.
Oh my God.
So with Broome, I know. Do you remember the video from him at the combine with the high jump?
I don't think so.
You remember?
I must have missed it.
No, you don't remember that one? So it was, it was like, yeah, where he just, it's like, we say he's a below the rim kind of guy. And with him being a below the rim kind of guy, we know how it is. But look, that's not much. We know he can play. We know he can play.
I was going to say, I always think that I care about the combine, certainly.
Yeah, because
right?
when we see him jump and hit the top one, we praise that.
People always overreact to the combine,
Edgecombe,
right?
I'm speaking of everybody.
It's like, it's not a measurement contest. It's a basketball game. So I get it. Like, as you're trying to ask questions about these guys going from, hey, you're the biggest, baddest guy in this game, right? When you jump to high school, you go to college, you get older and you're an upperclassman, like, of course you have advantage. Like, how does it all work? That's why you have the combine to sort of normalize these things. But every single year, people are just like, oh my God, this guy had this vert and these measurements. He's never going to make it. Or, oh my God, he's the next superstar and all this. And it's just like such a silly way to think about.
Yeah, but we do that with the measurements of the wingspans and all of that stuff too.
I think the same thing about that. As long as you're not like baby arms or can't jump at all.
Brian Pumper.
Ryan Pumper's got baby arms,
Well,
I guess.
He's been saying that literally about VJ for a while, even though he doesn't have all that short of a wingspan. I do think wingspan and standing reach matters a little more, just because like they're facts. Like that's how long your arms are. The max vert, I don't really care about at all. Like we've seen people who were incredible athletes and have like incredible in-game athletes have a mediocre max vert. I don't worry about that too much. It's not a great representation of in-game athleticism, but like a wingspan and standing reach, just because it's useful. It should be something you mostly know coming into it. But like someone like VJ, when we found out he had about 2 more inches of wingspan than we thought, that was meaningful.
Never mind.
I know
there's a little bit of a delay there. He had 2 more inches, and then just like a pause. Like, might want to string those words together a little quicker.
Let's see if we can get one of these combos going every hour.
All right. Well, listen, folks. Let's take a quick pause. We'll come back. We will update you on the picks after Broome, because while we mentioned some, we really haven't talked about where these players are going.
To the Warriors.
We'll talk about
41.
Yeah, they are.
Moving.
We're at pick number 41 now. So
Love it.
We'll update the draft of where the players are going. We will also get to your super chats as well. The Sixers select Johni Broome, center from Auburn, at pick number 35. And we will talk about him a little bit more as we hang out with you on this Thursday night, round 2 of the PHLY Sixers NBA Draft Special. Hanging out with you on a Thursday night right here on the show. All right, folks, I got to tell you about my good people from Cherry Hill Kia. I know why people drive them. I just don't know why you go in other directions. If you're looking for amazing deals and super low lease payments, KiaofCherryHill.com is the place to be. They're celebrating all their savings months all month long on their massive selection of over 450 new Kias to choose from. They have over 40 Tellurides, over 100 Sportages, over 35 Carnivals, over 75 Celtos, and over 80 Souls right there for you at Cherry Hill Kia. I got to tell you, Kia is the hottest automotive brand in the country, and that's for a reason. 7 of their models received 2025 Car and Driver Editor's Choice Awards. That's amazing considering there were more than 450 models tested and only 20 models industry-wide receive the award. Combine that with the best warranty in the automotive business, 10 years, 100,000-mile powertrain, and 5 years, 60,000-mile bumper-to-bumper. Stop in today. Tell them PHLY sent you and receive a $100 restaurant.com gift card just for taking a test drive or completing a trade appraisal. I know people buy Kias elsewhere. I just don't know why. Drive home in your new Kia today, just minutes from all bridges, or available online 24/7 at kiaofcherryhill.com.
And just like your favorite team needs a home court advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've all been to some of those big box stores, and while they might have a flooring department, the person actually helping you with flooring may have been doing sinks yesterday and could be stocking light bulbs tomorrow. Empire Today lives and breathes flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home. You pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space so you can see how it looks with your furniture and in your house. You get precise measurements taken and have all your questions answered so there are no surprises. With Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. PHLY listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHLY. You heard that right, a $350 discount with code PHLY. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/PHLY for full details.
A lot of people sweating under the bright lights at the NBA draft. You know what I would tell them they should use? Mando whole body deodorant. You can incorporate it into your daily routine because it is unique from any other deodorant. That's because it's whole body deodorant. It's safe to use anywhere on your body. Of course, your pits, right? That's where everyone knows. That's you get up in the morning before you're going out, put it there. But you can use it in the nether regions, your belly button, even in your feet. I never heard of putting deodorant on your feet. Mando makes it possible. Created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. Comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code, 40% off. Actually, 40+% off from your starter pack. Use the code PHLY at shopmando.com. SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
And guys, whether your favorite team wins or not, there is always another way to win on the BetParx online casino app. Check out brand new casino games like Huff and More Puff and Fire Blaze Sky Queen, a BetParx exclusive. The only app I ever use to play all of my favorite casino games in the palm of my hand. Play blackjack, roulette, craps, poker, baccarat, and hot online slots like Catch Eruption, 88 Fortunes, and Cleopatra online slots. They have other games like Walking Dead, Squid Game, Breaking Bad, and Peaky Blinders, and all of your favorite classic casino games from wherever you are. New users get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. So guys, go to betparx.com and download the app right now and enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. You must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan for BetParx.
Kyle, this morning I had to walk into the garage and man, it felt like a sauna.
This heat wave, man. No joke, Devon.
No, it's not. So that's why I went and got like 10 bags of ice, man, and I made my own ice bath just to cool off.
Why didn't you turn on your air conditioner?
Yeah, I was trying to be energy efficient, go green, like go birds, right?
Or instead, you could just check out Pico's energy saving rebates. They've got deals on Energy Star cooling equipment that actually work and they cut down your bills.
But the ice did work. So you mean I don't have to do that anymore?
No, you don't need ice. You just need some ice cold water or ice cold beers like we have here on this stage.
That makes a lot of sense.
So just head to pico.com/ways to save. They've got tips for everything, heating, cooling, lighting, you name it. Pico.com/ways to save.
Stay cool.
Perfect.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers NBA Draft Special. Round 2 on a Thursday night. Sixers with the 35th overall pick. Johni Broome from Auburn is your selection at 35. He is now the newest member of the Philadelphia 76ers, kicking off round 2 with the trade from the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Phoenix Suns, local product Rasheer Fleming from Camden and St. Joe's. We're waiting on 2 more local guys, one of which is Eric Dixon from Villanova. We'll see what happens with him. Hope he gets selected there tonight. And Jameer Watkins, also semi-local as well from Florida State. Want to see if he gets selected there tonight. So some good names on the board. Shout out to the local guys as well.
We are getting to the point of the draft where guys, if you see somebody who's highly ranked or the public believes is highly ranked and they just keep falling, in many cases, that means that their agent is calling teams and saying, do not draft. We do not want to be there. We want to pick our own destiny or destination, I should say, and go somewhere where they have a clear path and maybe have the potential to sign a deal that is not just a training camp deal or whatever. So that's something to keep an eye on this last stretch. Do we want to run through the recent picks that we kind of missed here as we were discussing Sixers business?
Yes, and then we'll get to the Super Chats. We'll run through the picks here, get to the Super Chats here shortly, and talk about those. So for where did we stop after the Sixers? Well, Adou Thiero, we talked about him from Brooklyn. He went right after the Sixers at pick number 36. That one is actually going to the Lakers. Is that?
Are you sure? I saw the Lakers did make a trade at some point.
That one's going to the Lakers. So
Okay.
Thiero is going to the Lakers and not the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay.
So they'll get that athleticism out there. On the left coast, now we have Chaz Lanier selected by the Detroit Pistons at 37. Guy can score, but it looks like he's headed to, if I'm looking at this correctly, there's a lot of trades here. So,
and it's one of my least favorite parts about the draft every single year. These guys go up on the stage with a hat for a team that they're never going to play for, and we have to go through this whole charade of proposed trade. It's like, bro, come on. The trade was made. Just give him the hat for the team he's going to.
We don't need to wait
till
the next day.
The whole thing is very
July 5th. We don't need to wait for that. So if this is correct, Chaz Lanier is going to the Dallas Mavericks after the move. Cam Jones, drafted by the Spurs at 38, headed to the Indiana Pacers in a trade, Derek.
Yep.
Good spot? Tyrese Halliburton is going to be out for the full year. You're going to get a lot of T.J. McConnell, a lot of Ryan Nembhard on that roster handling the rock. So, right? Maybe get an opportunity potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure he doesn't necessarily have maybe the size that you would expect for what they would want on that group. He's maybe like 6'3", 6'4", something in there.
But he is tough.
He's tough.
So he meets that requirement for that team.
Yeah, and he's got the jumper, and he uses the thread of that jumper to get some driving lanes. I thought Cam was a mid-30s prospect, so I think it's a relatively solid selection there.
And then Elijah Martin, we talked about a little bit. Him and CMB is just the all-defense draft for Toronto. I will say, I think we skipped over it a little bit yesterday. You guys know how I feel about Colin Murray-Boyles. I do not like that fit for him.
You said it
at all.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
I was a little higher on it than you, and
it just feels like they have so many guys that don't shoot and kind of need shooting around them in order to. And even the guys who do shoot, like Brandon Ingram, for example, he's a mid-range guy. That's not to say he can't make threes, but he often forgoes them to step in and take the pull-up twos. And so there's just going to be a lot of guys that are operating in similar areas who could use some spacers and some. So I still really like the player, but don't like the fit there.
Where do you think would have been a good fit? I think the one a lot of people say is San Antonio, and he certainly fits with Wemby, but not so much with their guard collection.
Well, so
what about Phoenix?
Here's the thing with San Antonio and CMB. If I were building the Spurs, I would not want CMB because I think the whole unique element of Wembanyama is you have to force bigs to step out and guard him all the time.
With CMB,
and if
they
you
can
play
hide
him
him.
with CMB,
big
I think the
can
other
score
team, they're just going to put the big on him. And then you guard Wemby out there with a 4. Now that makes things more difficult if Wemby plays like more of a big and is rim running and doing all that. But like, I think that if
that's what you want to dare him to do, though, right now at least.
Probably. But I think if I'm running the Spurs, I'm really trying hard to make it a 5 out. Like just spread it out, put athletes who can shoot. Now they haven't done that, right? They went and got Fox and there were going to be some complications there. But who would be a CMB team?
I think CMB, like the general idea is a team that's maybe not crazy athletic, but pretty high on skill level and shooting. Now, would he have been a great fit with Giannis? But maybe like Milwaukee would have been like an okay fit for him in terms of just how unathletic they are and how many dudes that he probably would have to bail out.
If you just want to lean into the defense, if he had dropped to OKC, I'd probably just say, just put another guy who's a destroyer on that team. They have struggles scoring anyway. You might as well just ratchet it up again. Denver's another one. Like him playing with Jokic that would allow for some really creative, connective interior passing and stuff like that.
Golden State learned from Draymond. Obviously, wouldn't play with Draymond. But, that's that's the high end outcome of what he could be, right?
Yep. So then, what are we looking at after that, Devon? Micah
Peavy
went
from Georgetown.
I think he's going to the Pelicans.
Going to the
trade.
Pelicans. Yeah, guard. He's like, all right. Right? You watch
I
a
don't
lot
have
of
a whole
biggies.
lot of.
I don't have anything on him.
He's just a, I mean, he's a guard. He's just an all right. He's an all right guard that can score the basketball. Kobe Bryant drafted by the Golden State Warriors, but he's headed to Phoenix.
Okay.
So some more shooting there for the Phoenix Suns.
What are they cooking out
how many
in
shooting
Phoenix,
guards
man?
now? Is that 16 now?
That's quite a bit, and especially because they have like $157 million tied up in shooting guards.
All right, so here's the one that got interesting. Derek was talking, and Maxime Renaud selected by the Sacramento Kings, but he is, to your point of spreading the floor, going to San Antonio in that deal, and his best friend is Victor Wembanyama.
Oh, wow.
So that is something that I'm sure the big fella said, let me flex my muscles a little bit.
Sure.
Can you go get my guy? And so he's headed to San Antonio. What do you make of that one, Rich?
Well, if it's Victor's best friend, why not spend a second round pick, right?
I mean, if you can roster Giannis's brothers, you can certainly do it.
And this guy
sure
might
he's
actually
going to the Spurs.
Isn't that what it says there?
If he's not going to the Spurs,
No,
they made a mistake.
I think he's going to the Kings. I'm not seeing anything that.
Let me see.
I think that pick came
from the
San
Spurs?
Antonio.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think Renaud is just the Kings.
Renaud is from, so Kobe Bryant to Phoenix. Maxime Renaud is staying in Sacramento.
I'm just making sure I had that
There's a
correct.
million trades going on.
My apologies, on that one. Jameer Watkins brought him up from FSU, drafted by the Utah Jazz.
They had combine game highlights up for him, which is a pretty bad sign normally. If your highlight tape is
traded to
boy,
Washington.
he put 35 up at the combine. It's like I don't know about all that. He's a pretty pure 3-and-D guy.
Yeah.
though,
Those
right?
those combine games crack me up in terms of like these guys are actually battling for second round spots, and there could just be a guy who's a point guard. Like I remember Bones Highland had a really good game. Like he was made for the combine game. If I was like a 3-and-D wing, a guy who was really trying to show off my shot, and I got like a Bones Highland in the I'd be like, what are we doing here?
The guy who
Did we just like
one of the guys this year was
coin?
Pettiford, who actually went back to school. He had a great first day, and we talked about it on the show. When I talked to people, they were more impressed by the fact that he just played the second day, because the easy thing is like, you know what? I had a great game. I'm just going to take my ball and go home. And he came back out, and I don't think he played very well the second day, which is why you do take your ball and go home. But I talked to some like scouting types who were like, I respected the fact that a kid who's right on the cusp of, I think he was viewed before he went back to school as like very late first, early second type of talent, and still put himself out there. So I think teams probably look more at that than any of the result stuff, except there are rare exceptions like the J-Dub moment at the combine, I think was one of the few ones where
played
He
the
came
combine?
in and it was like, oof.
Oh, he
Yes.
played in the combine. Wow.
Yeah, that was
Forgot
part
about
of
that.
his whole. It wasn't all of his rise. Like he was on NBA teams,
He ended up getting picked, what,
radars.
14, something like that? 13?
I think he was 12th.
Yeah.
I think he's somewhere in the lottery. But anyway, talking a lot about the combine scrimmages, which tells you why they never had a second day for the second round before.
So Watkins goes to the Wizards in a trade with the Utah Jazz. Brooks Barnhizer
Great name.
from where's he from? Northeastern? Or
Northwestern.
All right, Northwestern going from the Atlanta Hawks. He's going to OKC, and they already have 15 roster spots. They had a selection yesterday, so 15. What is it, 15 guaranteed contracts?
Yeah, and Sorber was the 16th, so I'm sure they're going to roster Sorber. My guess is that Brooks Barnhizer, like they've made agreements. I mean, this is going back 10 years at this point.
Yeah.
They've made agreements with players. Hey, we'll draft you in the second round. You got to go to Europe for a little bit, though. They've made agreements with American players who were like that. And I don't know where Brooks Barnhizer was ranked.
I don't even.
Brooks Barnhizer sounds like a guy. It's like a clothing brand for white people who go to the Hamptons in the summer. He was ranked 77th on Jonathan Givony's
If that's your
board.
answer.
I have no notes on him.
He's playing at
6'6".
He's playing in Spain or in France
Yeah,
or something
get ready,
next
buddy.
year.
You got your name called.
They're
though.
not-
Who
That's
was
a
that late
thrill.
first round pick that they drafted in the first round specifically because he
In
was willing
fairness
to do it?
to the Mr. Barnhizer, Sam Vecini had him
that.
45th. So there's a pretty big gap in
A
Utah
divergent
there.
of opinions on Mr.
Mr. Barnhizer.
on Mr. Boat Shoes himself.
I'm
He's
just
got
thinking of
He's
like
got the mustache, you know.
the Brooks
The
Barn-
mustache only, too.
Yeah, the
There's
mustache
it's none
only.
of the.
the Brooks Barnhizer spring catalog, the fashion show.
Sounds like a company that Elaine Bennis would have worked
Yeah,
for
exactly,
on
yeah.
Seinfeld.
What was it? Peterman?
Got my
What was
Himalayan-
it?
Jay Peterman.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got
yeah.
my Himalayan walking shoes from Brooks Barnhizer.
Oh
yeah.
man, Seinfeld.
Oh,
it all
man.
revolves back to Seinfeld. You go with the Mando. You go back to the BO episode with Seinfeld. All love it.
Brooks
Oh man.
Barnhizer. What a name.
All right.
Con Knipple, Brooks Barnhizer. What's with the alliterative white guy names in this draft?
I got it.
Josh Eustace.
Josh Eustace.
That was the one who I
remember
think
him.
they
Chicago
see
Bulls
Stanford?
select Rocco Zakarsky.
Man,
yeah.
Ooh.
Yep.
We got
Yeah,
to
I'm
run
pretty
on
sure he
very
had
white
agreed to
names
go
going right
overseas
now.
now.
I
Yeah.
at least have. I'm a little familiar with our friend Rocco here. That is up on the board. 7'3", by the way. That's a big boy.
Yeah, he is.
Big boy.
What is that?
I gotta tell you, I love me some Australian people. I
So-
spent some time there. Went on a trip. They are a hoot. They're good people to be around.
This is a proposed trade with the Timberwolves.
Okay.
Here at this spot. And next up is the Orlando Magic on the clock at 46. So we're moving along.
Little tidbit from our friend Sam Vecini. Rocco Zakarsky's dad is a bronze medalist in swimming at the 1996 Atlanta Summer Olympics.
Oh, wow.
So,
Wonder if you overlap with the torpedo.
but he was so he actually was on a Germany's team. He was a German 4x1 freestyle relay. So there you go. That's more than you probably ever thought you'd need to know about Rocco Zakarsky's father.
Tall man.
Tall guy for
Swimming.
sure.
All right, let's get to some of these super chats because we do have a lot
right.
here. Dave Cost says, love the show, boys. The Broom pick reminds me of Howie. When all else fails, grab the best player from the best college team who was consensus All-American.
If you're framing it in a positive way, yeah, sure.
Go for it.
He was a terrific college basketball player. No
Yep.
question about that.
I think it's a perfectly reasonable explanation. You just, you still have questions about how it all works once you're up here with the big boys, especially if you're playing at that position where the big boys are very big.
And in fairness, when Howie takes all of these Georgia players, they're usually athletic freaks.
Right.
Broom, for an NBA player, is terrific rebounder, but really you're betting on feel and basketball sense here. And maybe he's right too. I'm not saying he's wrong, but it's a little different than drafting the whole 2021 Georgia defense. That's just like, those are pretty much the most athletic guys going.
INS says, call him the Broom handle. That's the new name.
When he's rebounding, you're in the broom closet.
Broom closet. I like that one. Yeah.
Might
I
be
like
a
that one.
T-shirt eventually,
Yeah,
but he's got to play well first.
you're right. But we got to come up with something. So Broom Closet might have to be the one to that one. Amari Williams, Kentucky. I didn't even know he was coming out of school.
Started at Drexel, right?
Yeah, I didn't even know he was leaving. But gets selected by the Orlando Magic. So good for him.
That's a proposed trade with the Boston Celtics.
Is that from the
I believe that
earlier
is the
pick,
trade that
32?
netted the Magic Noah Penda.
Yes.
It's part of that trade.
Yes. Okay. All right.
A lot of moving parts here.
Yeah, there are. I'm trying to
Especially when we're yapping about other stuff and there's like 5 picks that go by and it's like, what the hell happened? It's like waking up in the movie we talk about all the time, Devon. And this is the
This
end.
is the end.
Danny McBride wakes up
man.
and he's making, a 4-course breakfast and everyone's like, dude, the world ended last night. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
We got some more super chats in here.
I'm taking care of that one right now because
Okay.
I kind of lost some of them. Yeah. Yeah.
We normally have them all up on the screen. I can see one right now from Riaz.
Okay.
Bree, if you want to pull that up. Riaz asked, are there any trade options for anyone over 6'8"? We need some dogs who can crash the boards. I just see us getting killed on the glass with this guard-heavy roster in the playoffs. We need a rebounder.
Well, and that's part of the problem with all of the big men that the Sixers have. None of them can play together. Like Embiid and Bona and Drummond and Broom. Like, I don't have confidence that you can find any pairing of any of those two that can play well together for an extended period of time and help you with the rebounding problems. So you need some of these wings and guards that you have. And VJ is a pretty good rebounder for a guard, but like you're going to end up relying on guards and wings way more than maybe you would prefer.
Yeah. I am absolutely not going to dismiss people's concerns about the lack of size and rebounding because it has been a constant for this team. It really has not changed with what they've done in this draft. And their options to upgrade there are very slim unless you are trying to make a move that we are not seeing right now, like a bigger move, right? Moving one of the guards, looking at something involving Paul George, which they've denied flatly every time that anything's happening. But so I don't know how you get forward depth. It's going to be tough. You're going to have to take some, I won't call them big swings because they're going to be minimum contract guys, but you're just going to have to take some swings on guys who are going to be available at that position for reasons that also, bring some other weaknesses to the table.
All right.
Does part of you think that the Broom pick, again, we don't know if he's going to be able to play the 4 or really if he's going to be able to play at all, but he is a guy who's, 22 years old at this point?
23.
He's going to be
23 years old?
23 soon.
He'll be
Yeah.
23 in mid-July,
Okay. Point being,
in the middle of summer league, basically.
we're going to know whether he'll be able to play in the NBA pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And if he can, then maybe he can actually help this year's team. But there's not a lot of there's not a lot of prognostication there, right?
Yeah.
There's not.
No, it's not like with VJ where it's like, yeah, we're going to have to probably wait a year or two before we see kind of like who the real VJ will be. He'll produce right away, but who VJ's upside is won't emerge. Broom had better be what he is from day one, essentially.
And going back to what we were saying last night, if that's how Daryl's thinking with his second round pick, I care much less about that than with the first round pick. So
Yeah.
All right, this is from Larry Love. Ryan Kalkbrenner is elite in the post to cut angle if he opts in. For Oubre and Gordon, if they opt in. So he's talking about Kalkbrenner at the time joining the team. But
Unfortunately, this is the downside to waiting on
Yeah.
the super chats until the end. Not going to get Kalkbrenner.
All right, so now we're catching
Brother,
up.
we aren't at the end. There's a lot of time left.
Now we're catching up. DJ, a.k.a. Mr. Sandman, Bring Me a Dream. Super Chat says, Johni Broome is a replacement for Gershon Yabusele.
See, but Yabu, you could theoretically play the 4. We didn't really see it all that much because all the 5s were injured. You needed him to play there. But the theory with Yabu is that with the shooting, he could be a pick and pop partner with Tyrese Maxey and possibly play next to Joel Embiid. I don't see that with Broome at all.
And look, when I said that his release is slow and he has that elongated way of getting into his motions, he can shoot, but it just takes a while to get there.
He was also sub 30% to the last 3 years, right? He only had one really good season shooting the ball.
Yeah. Yep.
His really good season was like 35%.
Yeah.
And he's been a dreadful free throw guy. And that's normally a pretty bad indicator.
And I don't really remember all that many that were like behind the college 3-point line. So I think that adjustment could be a struggle too.
Yeah. Your guy goes off the board here to the Milwaukee Bucks at pick number 47, Bogo Markovic.
Big boy.
Yeah. No, he's like a legit 6'11".
Tower.
But he's also 213 pounds. I think he weighs less than Cedric Howard does. And Cedric Howard.
We still got the bubblegum jerseys at Megalex.
Yeah, they're not quite the same. Like the old TLC ones were a little bit more colorful.
Because they had the neon green
Yes.
too. It was like the spearmint and the neon pink. That was a whole lot going on.
That was a collector's item down the shore, man. The TLC
TLC
Megalex
Megalex. I watched way more Megalex basketball than any sane person ever should. That's a person covering the NBA, I feel like.
Sean Wofford checks in on the super chat. The best player in the best conference in America.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've said it many times about that SEC. That is one of the toughest conference seasons that there's been in at least probably 10 to 15 years. So I 100% with it on that front.
Larry Love comes back and says they just drafted the 32-year-old version of Taj Gibson. Thanks, Maury.
All right.
Shaking my head.
We're going a little too far with that, I think. But
Taj was still pretty good at 32. I don't know. Probably not.
Right. He was, because when he got in the league, he was already like 20. Remember when he came out of USC? He was like 24, I think. Wasn't he older?
Yes.
Yeah, so he was still good, 32.
I'm actually curious. I'm going to have to go back at some point and see, who people actually wanted at pick 35. Because we talked through our kind of targets, but I think when you bring up a wing/forward who can't shoot like Thiero, I think most of the fan base is running for the hills immediately.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, in fairness to Daryl Morey, the three players that I wanted were Penda, Fleming, or Kalkbrenner. Well, they weren't there.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Absolutely.
And two teams paid pretty exorbitant amount of draft picks to get up to get those guys too. So,
Devon Small to the Grizzlies. Are we sure that it's for the Grizzlies?
I'm not
at this
even
point?
looking anymore. Yeah, just let it happen. Just
I think
let it be.
the broadcast has done a pretty good job of putting up like proposed trade on the side if there's a trade happening. So I think this one is sticking with Memphis unless there is a development from here on out.
Okay. All right. Bernard McCoy, Super Chat. Fellas, if Broom loses 10 to 15 pounds and gets into NBA shape, all caps here, he will be a stud in my eyes. I thought they were going to pick Maxime.
Is weight a problem for him?
No.
I mean,
don't
he's-
think so. He never looked out of shape.
He's
though.
strong. Like he's certainly got mass. I don't know if he's that out of shape though.
Yeah, like I think you want him to play at obviously if you can turn everything into muscle, that's great. But I think strength is a big part of his game. Like that, that's a big reason why he was able to be the player he was. So I don't know. I'd talk to the strength and conditioning guys on that one, but I think he's doing pretty okay in terms of the physicality stuff from what I can tell.
Appreciate it, Bernard. Thank you so much. Marcus Blackstock says, been too many years driving this car without a good spare. Now you got a Dembona and Johni Broome.
So is that the analogy we're using? Johni Broome is a spare tire?
Spare tire. He's a spare tire.
You said it, not me.
It would be well. I
think Joel Embiid is a little more than a tire, to be clear. But
he did put the emojis, 2 laughing emojis and a basketball emoji there at the end. So, Mark, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
It's a spare tire with the engine out of the car.
Sanj with the super chat. Nice donation here. Thank you, Sanj. How many guys are in the rotation averaging over 12 minutes a game next year?
A lot of them, because injuries are going to happen, which means people are going to play more minutes than you would expect.
All right, let's just go down the list. Usually I'm yawning. You can tell I was up till like 4 a.m. last night.
By the way, Tyrese Proctor's still on the board. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Maxey, McCain, VJ, Grimes, PG, Embiid,
All right, hold on.
Oubre.
Real quick. How many people do you think averaged at least 12 minutes per game for the Sixers last year?
A ton, because some of it is like small sample size
Yeah.
stuff.
Just take a guess.
15.
13.
26.
Oh!
Jeez.
Edwards,
Edwards. Bona.
Bona.
That's 9 right there. Are you including Eric Gordon?
Yeah.
Nah.
I mean,
Well, first, he's got to return. I
Yabu
think he
if he's
probably
here.
will. Yabu, if he's here,
here.
that gets
Yeah.
you to like 10.
So say 10. Without Gordon, 10.
And look, I
Stanley comes
think,
back.
frankly, there's a good chance Broom is going to, because Joel's going to miss time. So the times he's going to play,
So that's 11.
he's going to play a healthy amount of minutes, if I had to guess.
I thought it was pretty telling how Kyle kind of ran that down. Bunch of guards. He says PG, and then he goes right to the centers. Because
Yes.
Well, you
Again,
did say
there's-
Oubre in there, right?
I did say Oubre.
There's
I
a
will
lot
say-
of
And
uncertainty.
Justin
though.
Edwards.
Oubre opting in now is huge. They have like legitimately like one wing. They desperately, there's almost no way they can replace Oubre. Well, they got PG and Edwards, but like it's real tough to replace Oubre if he opts out.
Good question, Sanj.
Hey, by the way, you see the pick?
Oh, okay.
And Jake Fisher is reporting. So Tyrese Proctor to Cleveland at 49. Jake Fisher is reporting they will sign him to a multi-year deal. Now, multi-year deal could be as simple as he got one guaranteed year.
Yeah, a Hinkie special.
Yeah, but good for him.
People used to lose their mind about, and now everybody does it.
I mean, when you look at what Ty Jerome did in that spot as a backup on a minimum type of contract, he's going to get paid. Are they going to be the ones that feel like they are going to pay him? I'm not saying Proctor is going to be his replacement, but if they feel like the developmental staff is good enough that maybe he can be that type of player, then maybe that's the direction that they're thinking when it comes to him. Ty Jerome maybe on his way out or something along those lines.
Guess we'll find out. Listen, if I was Cleveland, I'm running it back. I think the way the East is this year,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and give
Yeah.
it like, look, Indiana took that series from them, right? They deserve credit for they punked them pretty hard. Cleveland was also pretty banged up for that series. So I think you just say, even if you don't have the same regular season, it's like you'll be a good enough team that you have a puncher's chance in that Eastern Conference. I would try, unless some guys are going to get really expensive, I would try to just let's give it one more year. And if it doesn't work, then I hit the exit ramp.
I'm not usually a fan of looking at the team that we lost to, how they do in the subsequent rounds of the playoffs. In this case, I think, all right, they were pretty hard to play against.
Yeah.
They took Oklahoma City to 7 games, and man, they might have won the series if Tyrese Halliburton did not get injured in the beginning of that game. So, yeah, I'd run it back too.
Where are we at on? Are we done with our super chats?
No. Is there Riaz with another? Is there any trade? Oh, you already mentioned that one. That was the 6'8" one.
Brian did also just drop one as well.
You
Got a
it?
new one from the pump man himself.
He says, "Did I do this right? We want players with high IQ, good defense, a connector, great teammate, and plays extremely hard." And then he said, "Fellas, feel clear to chime in." I guess he's endorsing Broom. Yes, we value all of those attributes.
Yep.
We're just concerned he's not athletic enough or shoots well enough to
Or
really
big
translate.
enough, right?
Or
Like
big enough.
if Broom was, if he was a couple inches taller or had like a massive wingspan, like what does he have? I think he's got like a
7,
7-foot
right at
wingspan
7, yep.
at 6'9"
Yep.
if I'm remembering correctly. If he had like a Thomas Sorber wingspan, I don't think there'd be any question.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think that would solve a lot of. You just say, well, he's not a great athlete, but he's so productive and so smart and so strong. I think it'll translate. That's the whole thing.
Purple Heart in the chat with a good point. Like Brian being excited and happy is really throwing me off.
Well, let me throw you another super chat that he sent through. He says, "Get ready to learn Johni Broome, fellas. What a huge hit to Joel Embiid's fan club. Support the guy. He's a 76er now. No more long faces.
Oh my God.
Wait, support the guy. He's a 76er now. Honestly, it truly blew my mind. I went on, Devon and I were both on Anthony's show this morning, and the exact same people were having the exact same arguments at 9 a.m. as they were at 9 p.m. the previous night. And Brian, you were not supporting your guy. You were not supporting the new 76er
No, he was
at
not.
9 a.m. this morning.
Support your guys, Pump, and that means all of them.
Support your guys' pump.
Support that screen navigation pump. Come
10 more picks to go, by the way.
Those on the
Those
Knicks
hockey
are on the
assists.
clock.
Support
it. The Knicks are on the clock right now. There's some good names still left. We talked about Eric Dixon. Ryan Nembhard is the brother.
Is he going to get drafted just on the strength of the Pacers playoff run?
Let me see if the Pacers
got it,
have another pick.
It's like, hey, take the legacy pick.
The Pacers have another pick.
I'm just saying.
You know,
Keep an eye on that.
little Nembhard family, thing going on there. They did it before.
Listen, man, some families in certain sports, you just got to say, whatever.
Indiana
I'm
did that
taking the swing.
before. I think
like
they did it.
the Matthews family in football. Like, hey, you got another Matthews coming down the pipeline? Take that guy.
I think
wherever.
Indiana had
The Watts.
Justin and Aaron Holiday. I think they had at one point.
Absolutely.
Indiana did. Yeah. So they'll do it again. We'll see.
Kobe Sanders to the
Sanders.
Knicks.
Okay. All right. I think I've seen him play before.
It's a good dunk.
Yeah, that was a nice
I
dunk.
certainly have not seen him play.
Yeah. Westchester Knicks. See you in the G League.
Wow.
Yeah, think so.
Strong take.
Yeah, because what was I forgot the kid's
Put him in the
name
D-League already.
that they drafted.
Vince's guy is on the Knicks from last year, Tyler Kolek.
Yes.
Kolek is there.
Knicks fans really like him, from what I can tell. Or at least the people who are Knicks fans that like him are like, he should be playing 20 minutes a night. Get him in this game.
Are you sure that's not just Vince on a burner on like WFAN's YouTube?
I mean,
So
the fact that they
Pacomi,
really like him is pretty funny.
What's his name,
he had
Pacomi?
No production of any sort this year. I know Tibbs didn't play him, but I think it might have just been like Tibbs is driving us crazy. Like, can we get some people off the bench? And he's just chilling on the bench.
Kobe Sanders is getting traded to the Clippers,
Okay.
according to Shams.
Yeah, see, Pacomi Dadier, the first round pick from a year ago. He's got to get some burn,
Or does he?
or does he? Well, we know he's not playing in front of two guys in particular. So,
Well,
Yeah.
that's definitely true.
Who are they
Yeah.
interviewing now?
Borrego.
Borrego, right?
Yeah, I like Borrego, but
Pumper says he's
like
now
Borrego.
part of Broom FC.
what about VJ?
I've never seen a pivot this hard
Yeah.
for a 35th pick backup big. Unbelievable.
Especially like like he was making fun of VJ, like, oh man, I can't wait to see him navigate screens. And now
man.
you're picking the guy who does all the little things. Like there's a little bit of inconsistency
It is
there.
honestly, it's throwing me off because it's just like a complete opposite take on like type of player.
Yeah.
Do you know how many?
In fairness, we're also doing the opposite thing. We're all like, hey, VJ's like high feel, all this stuff. And then like, yeah, but also, I don't know about this Broom guy. So,
how many more points did Broom score per game than VJ last year in college?
Points?
3?
I think like
Four?
3 points per game more.
Yeah.
He was 22.
To some people, those 3 points are all the difference. Though.
So according to Chris, put this up on our team account, the PHLY _Sixers. Charles Barkley says for Broome, Johni Broome is the greatest basketball player in Auburn history.
I think somebody's being
Pretty generous.
Just Chuck
A
taking
little
care
generous.
of his guy.
yeah.
It is.
Chuck Person,
It's one of the only times
Charles
he's actually
Barkley.
bigged up a young player. It's always like, actually, I'm being unfair. That's more Shaq.
That's
is
more
the guy
Shaq.
who's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
get your ass in the post, big fella. Like, all that stupid nonsense.
Yeah.
Charles kills me.
Yeah, he does.
I am really curious, by the way, to see what that show looks like on ESPN next year. Devon has no thoughts that he wants to share.
No, I have.
I mean, they're gonna have to change a couple things. They're going to have to change how fast the commercials happen on ESPN.
You have to give those guys time to do what they do.
They
just
need like
roll.
10-minute segments.
Yeah.
Not 10 minutes, but
Let them
8-minute
roll.
segments. Yeah. That's the first part. Yeah. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
These
and,
ESPN.
And you know what I don't want to do either? Because sometimes, first of all, sometimes you have some of the guys that are off. It will be like Tuesdays, it would be Shaq with, I don't know, Jamal Crawford would come in and Vince Carter would come in.
It was just Shaq on those shows.
Yeah, Shaq would be the only one. Candace Parker would be a part of that. And I think Adam Lefkoe would take over for Ernie. You already know how I feel about Kendrick Perkins. You cannot have
Hey,
him.
be careful. You don't want him to film a 2-minute iPhone video in his car getting honked at.
I'll just reach out to Bill and ask him to do me a favor and
Chris,
respond.
we need you to clip this and tag Perk.
Please do.
So maybe we can get Perk to yell at the phone.
Please do.
no.
I do not care.
Speaking of that,
No,
how about the Pelicans firing back at Simmons?
Oh,
From
the
their
official
main
Pelicans
account.
account?
Yeah.
Is,
Oh,
come on, man.
Guys, you made
Because of
the
that trade?
stupidest trade I've ever
Yeah,
seen. So,
right.
so Bill Simmons is like, he said the obvious thing, that was a ridiculous trade to make or whatever. And so Shams goes on some show today, and the official Pelicans account is like, it basically says, it quote tweeted the video Shams was in, and they were like, wow, measured take, Shams. You're not going to get a
never getting on
ringer
the Ringer.
podcast for that.
I still can't wrap my mind around.
No, it's indefensible.
Look, here's the thing. I get if you value Derek Queen a lot. Like I get my head around that. Trading that pick unprotected
Yes.
in that draft next year when it's not just yours either. It's your draft rights and it's the Bucks who just lost one of their 2 best players to an Achilles injury.
And Shams' whole defense of it was like, well, what if Derek Queen turns into a Hall of Famer? Then nobody's going to care about it. And look, everyone knows the game. Shams has sources to protect. He's got relationships to manage, yada, yada, yada. He can't be as harsh as someone like Bill Simmons is.
He
could.
chooses
It wouldn't
not
be
to.
smart to be. But like even so, yes, if Derek Queen turns into a Hall of Famer, nobody's going to give a darn. But that still makes not putting any protections on that pick indefensible. There's
can't
no
even put
reason
a top 3
There's no
protection?
reason to
Like-
take that kind of risk when nobody else was going to beat that offer.
Man,
Just
Troy
ridiculous.
Weaver is so ridiculous. I said this last night.
Him and Dumars together has some all-time just like chaos potential down there.
Apparently, Dumars is just letting Weave cook. Apparently, Dumars is just like, look, I'm going to let him handle this right now. And man, I said it last night, and I read it.
Didn't you say he drafted the guy from Georgetown? He was going to the Pelicans? The guard. That's another DMV guy.
Totally, yeah. Did they draft another one tonight? He literally, like, if you played for Boo Williams, Troy Weaver will spend way too much draft capital on you. It's crazy.
That was Peavy. Yes, Peavy
I
is
just don't
going.
understand-
Draft people based on like where they're from.
Proximity to
He's going to
on.
New Orleans.
I
man.
just don't understand how you're watching him with the Pistons going like, you know what? Let's let that guy cook. Hand him the keys.
Get
Again,
Jeremiah Fears out of there now.
as the number one
Now.
Troy Weaver critic on the show, it is worth noting his draft history is pretty good.
Sure.
The team building stuff is a disaster, and that's why the trade is more a material thing to analyze here than the actual guys. Like I like Jeremiah Fears, who they got at 7.
get him
I
out of
like
there.
Derek Queen, who they traded up to get at 13. I do not like giving up that level of pick where think about the roster they have right now. Right now, it's Murray's out for most of the year.
They have
at
like
least.
half a good defender on
You
their entire
have
roster.
Jordan Poole, 18-year-old Jeremiah Fears, Derek Queen, Zion, Herb Jones are all, well, Jordan Poole take out of this group. Those are all guys who are going to play pretty heavy minutes that are not shooters right now. Like we believe in Fears long term, but like
I forgot
it's a
about
guy
the
who
Poole
needs the
trade.
ball in his hands and wants to like get into the paint. Derek Queen wants to play around the basket. Zion has more shots in the restricted area than any player in the league. These are all guys that want to get to the basket that need people to create the spacing. This basically makes Trey Murphy the single most valuable player on the team.
Well,
And
one
then
more
go through-
shooter. One
go-
more shooter. Jordan Harkins is still on that team.
That is
he
true.
can fill it up.
Go through all of those names that you just listed. Herb Jones, good defender. Trey Murphy, maybe a neutralish defender.
I think with
Zion's
less
never in-
responsibility, he's a good defender. So I think there's a world where he can be a good defender.
Maybe. He's okay. I don't want to say he's good, but he's not bad. He's certainly not bad. He's at least neutral, maybe slightly above average. Zion, sure, when he's healthy, but yeah. Everyone else, though, is like a train wreck defensively. There's so many bozos defensively, not like decision-making bozos, but like bozos you can hunt defensively on that squad, that the lack of shooting and the defensive concerns are just massive.
Would you rather have Poole or McCollum for next season? Let's say you're trying to win.
Honestly, I think I would rather have Poole, but
Because
I don't love it.
Because at least the high end is there.
Yeah, and I think
some
like
variance.
CJ is just he's showing his age a little
He
bit.
is.
And Poole, once they got Kuzma out of there, I think that was just like those two were like the Bash brothers in a bad way, right? You put them on the floor together, and it's just we're gonna do whatever the hell we want. And I think he played like a more serious player once Kyle Kuzma's brand of basketball was out. So I could see a world where he goes down to the Pelicans and has a better year. I just think there's a lot of overlap in where those guys want to get to and play, even at those different positions, that makes it really hard for them to put a good product on. And they're in the West, dude. Like even if all these moves work, even if all what is their ceiling in that conference? Are they like the 10th team in the play-in?
And they just gave up that pick.
Yeah, it's crazy, but we shall see.
All right, a couple more super chats coming through. Brian Pumper, be pumped, just spending some money tonight because he got one of his guys, Johni Broome. Fellas, there's a 36-minute Johni Broome highlight tape. Fire emoji. Grab some popcorn emoji. Kick back and relax. Oh my
sounds
goodness.
like he's about to turn the lights down and light some candles for Johni Broome right now.
So many counters and go-to moves to count. Ooh wee.
I love this from Paul.
And he's not getting any of those shots up over NBA centers.
This is a face turn. This isn't even a heel turn. This is like
phenomenal.
Mr. Positivity.
I love this.
We got one from Jess too, I believe.
I mean,
Devon.
all of us are like,
stuff,
well,
Paul.
if he translates because of rebounding and he plays hard and hustle plays, and Pump's like, man, look at this post up move. Like that's not. I think that's a college move.
You know what? I'm not.
I hope it works. It's very skeptical.
I'm not going to discourage him for the positivity. I like it.
I do.
Jess said this feels only right to do for Brian Pumper's joy tonight. Almost wasn't sure this was possible.
And she gave a nice donation for
Truthfully,
that reason.
though, Pump, it is nice to see a different side of you because I feel like it's been a one-track hit for the last month and a half. So I appreciate. I'm
This
just
is
stunned
delightful.
by it.
I like his pick here. I like Tanji.
You like him?
Yeah, I like Tanji from he can
Talk to me.
He can score. He can score the basketball. And for the Jazz, as they're
It's
trying
nice to see Devon
find-
get back in his bucket guy bag here
find
as we
stuff.
approach the end of the draft.
Yeah. He has a pretty good build there, and he can score the basketball. So going to Utah again, where they're trying to find their way, they're trying to find guys that they can stick on their roster. He has decent
Buckets
size.
Incorporated in Utah.
man. You Ace and
All those Mormons aren't going to know what hit them. You got Tanj, you
those
got
two
Ace
guys in the
Daly,
gym, they don't
Walter
know.
Clayton.
They don't know.
So you got some bucket boys out there, man. They're going to score. I don't know what else they're going to do, but
Yeah, right. Exactly.
that'll be fun. He'll
in the
be
gym
fun out there.
and on the video games. That's what they're going to be doing.
As we're close to the final picks of the second round here, which means we are quickly approaching what will be the flurry of undrafted free agent signings.
Yes.
Is there anybody that you guys see that is out there that you would view as a priority two-way guy or potential full roster spot guy of the list of guys?
I
that's
have
left?
interest in R.J. Lewis Jr. from St. John's. When we talk about playing some of the best brand of basketball, and it's not just the scoring, he just looked really good with that team. Surprised that he decided to opt in and stay in the draft. 6'6", 210, and he was the Big East Player of the Year a year ago for Rick Pitino's team, and he was really good, man. So I would have interest in him if he does a lot of stuff. So with that 6'6" frame, and I think I would give him a look as a two-way player.
He took on more of the offense as the year went on. That St. John's team was just like a bunch of rebounders.
Yep.
They played great defense and they rebounded. They really they had to throw him the ball. So, his stats, his scoring might be a little inflated. His efficiency might be a little deflated just because he really was the focal point of that offense. He had a good year. I'll say another Big East guy that, again, I don't know if he's going to actually turn out. Local guy, Eric Dixon. Man, he bombed threes this year.
Mm-hmm.
It was for the difference between him when he started at Villanova and ended, and I know they didn't win a bunch of games. I don't think that was entirely his fault. Believe he led the NCAA in scoring this past year. I was just so impressed. The threes he took this year were tough ones, man. He was taking them off the move. They were running flare screens for him. They were running, a bunch of very difficult stuff. Is that going to work at the NBA level? I mean, there's concerns about him in terms of size and defense and all those things. Those are fair, but that's probably a name to keep in mind at least.
Derek, anybody jumping out at you from the guys who are left?
Not a ton. Jameer Watkins, if we're talking local kids.
He got drafted.
He got drafted.
We'll cross him off the list then. All right.
Again, this is hard to keep up with.
Oh, I've barely been keeping up with the last 10 picks or so. Well, let me go through the list and make sure.
Okay, I'll throw one out there. I don't believe he's been drafted yet, but if I pull a Derek here, feel free to correct me. Bryce Williams, who's a wing-sized shooter, believe he measured in at around 6'5" and a quarter without shoes, close to a 6'11" wingspan.
Oh, wow,
so
40.
in the Trey Johnson-ish measurement range, he is he's not an elite shooter, but he's big enough. Hit something like 39% of his catch and shoot threes, I believe, last year. Is an older prospect, so someone who, if he is an end of the bench or two-way guy, might be able to step in and play right away. They don't have a lot, like they have guard shooters, but it's really Justin Edwards of your wing shooters other than Paul George, right? Like Kelly, you can't trust. So if you get a guy who's in that wing category who can shoot on the move, I'll take that, even if there are other warts you got to deal with.
You got another one?
No, I'm not making that mistake twice.
I will. I will. Someone brought it up on our show before, but we talked about him more as an undrafted guy, older player, Grant Nelson from Alabama. When he left, what was it again? Was it North Dakota or South Dakota State?
I'll have to look that one up.
But when he got to Alabama, it was because of all the stuff that he did at that level. And then when he got to Alabama, they had made it to, I believe it was the Elite Eight or the Final Four. It might have been the Elite Eight. But he was really good for there. This year, he was
North Dakota
State. He had a down year this year, but 6'10", guy plays on the perimeter. You guys talk, we always talk about it, getting those shots up from behind the 3-point line.
And a good athlete at that size, by the way.
100%. He's just intriguing. I don't know that it would work. I don't know that they would have any interest, but he's one that I just liked watching him play.
He's kind of in the Thoreau mold, right? Where he's huge, he's athletic, can't shoot a lick. But like if you're talking about undrafted free agents and two-way guys, a lot easier to bet on him as that rather than top of the second round, like someone who's going to be on a real deal.
You mentioned Alabama. Mark Sears, he's still there?
Yeah, Sears is still there. Score.
Great college player.
Yeah.
And honestly, it kind of reminded me of Jalen Brunson in college, and not even just because he was left-handed, like would just probe the entire time. Would use some physicality. They'd post him up as well. Looks like they have him listed at 5'11". I think that's a little bit of a difference, right? Jalen Brunson's probably 6'1", 6'2". A little bit of a difference of what you can get away with defensively in the NBA.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I also heard something about him, pre-draft stuff, was personality trait that rubbed a lot of organizations the wrong way about Sears a little bit. So that outside of obviously the size part kind of knocks him down on people's draft board, but that was also one that was a little bit of a knock on Sears as well.
I mean, I'm just looking at guys I've heard of now, honestly.
This is that part of the draft, right? Like
I'll ask another one.
We have spent a ton of time on the top of the class and in the 10 through 30 range. Once you get past like 40, you can come on. There's only so much basketball one person can watch.
You can get good players here. You can get Justin Edwards here too.
Yeah.
A name that we've seen since North Carolina 5 years ago. Caleb Love, now in Arizona.
Sure.
He's, for whatever reason, the NBA doesn't seem to like him. Like a smallish shooting guard.
Hey, just what they need.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not even talking about the Sixers here. I'm just saying when you bring up names, he's still one that I just don't understand. He should have. First of all, I thought he was going to.
Well, he was a big recruit when he first got there.
Came out of St. Louis.
He was a big recruit. He led UNC to the national championship.
I thought he was leaving that year.
Oh, I think he would have gotten drafted too.
Yes.
He's big. He's like 6'3", 6'4".
Right.
The problem is, man, like when he's bad, it's like 1 for 50
Yeah.
from the field. Like,
He has confidence.
But he does have the like fire three off the screen type of feel. It hasn't gone in as much over the last few years. So that's been a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, so some names there. We do need to take our final break.
Sounds good.
I have questions for you guys as we
I
hang
don't
out.
even know where we're at on our list at this point.
We did
so I'm
Pico
gonna-
last.
Pico. All
Yeah,
right.
so we're good. So you folks, you are in fact.
Maybe Derek will keep us in the same order this time. Jumping the gun over Rich last time.
No, I thought we'll talk about it after.
Well, we're running the table here on these last few.
All right.
So get ready.
Sounded like a double dip for somebody.
Yes, it is. Probably me. It's the PHLY Sixers NBA Draft Special. Sixers pick 35. Johni Broome from Auburn. And then before we get out of here, maybe, just maybe, we'll start to get some news from like Kyle and Derek and Rich on some undrafted free agents. Maybe
Yeah,
we get
talk a
some-
little more about
get some
Broome. There's
info.
some people who probably coming
Yeah.
in late and missed some
Yeah.
Johni Broome conversation, so we'll come back and talk about him.
And we'll see if some of those undrafted free agents start to drop once the draft ends and we're still on the air
The
until
only thing
11
I root
o'clock.
for is for one of the guys we mentioned to get signed, because then it makes us look prescient.
This is the NBA Draft Special, PHLY style, right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast, presented by Rothman Orthopedics and TrueMark Financial Credit Union. All right. I just mentioned Rothman. My people, ACLs and
Our
Achilles,
people.
our people, for the entire summer, covering Sixers basketball here on the road, everywhere else. Rothman Orthopedics has us covered. So they have you covered too, because if you need to get back to what you love, especially during the summer, whether you're biking by the Schuylkill, chasing your kids through the sprinkler, it's hot outside, you slip a little bit, or finally tacking that hiking trail, well, it's tough when your body doesn't cooperate. That's where Rothman Orthopedic comes in. From aches after a pickup game to old injuries flaring up during summer adventures, Rothman's team of experts is here to help with evidence-based care and commitment to restoring your mobility. They'll get you back out there stronger than ever. Make sure you do get back out there by going to Rothman. Patients will find the full spectrum of orthopedic care at Rothman Orthopedics. From diagnosis to discharge, they provide their patients with every service and procedure necessary, such as x-rays, orthotics and bracings, MRIs, physical therapy, and more. If pain is slowing you down this season, take the first step. Head to rothmanortho.com/PHLY and schedule your appointment today. Rothman Orthopedics, your summer, your mobility, their mission.
As Chase Stokes from Outer Banks just got drafted, it looked like on the screen up there. Okay, let's talk about our friends at TrueMark Financial.
Too good.
Summer's here, which means the kids are out and about, hanging with friends, maybe even picking up a summer job. What was your guys' summer jobs? I worked in
the cleaners.
I fixed pools
In the summer?
shoveling concrete,
Acme.
all kinds of nonsense.
Dishwashing and Taco Bell.
Hey,
Hot. Cleaners
Acme
in the
was my
summer.
big one, and I worked at
having a
pool.
Baja Blast over there, Derek.
Pre-Baja Blast days, but yes.
Well, whatever your summer job, whatever your kid's summer job is, it is the perfect time to set them up with something that teaches them real-world money skills and gives them a little freedom. The Greenlight debit card and money app.
The money.
If you're a TrueMark Financial member, you can get a free Greenlight account for your kids or teens. It is a simple way for them to manage their own money, whether it's from a job, allowance, or maybe even some birthday cash that you gave them. They will get their own debit card. You can set savings goals, track spending, and they will learn how to budget, all while you stay in the loop from your phone. You, the parent, are still in control, but they get to learn how money really works in everyday life. So before the summer rush kicks in, this is a great way to help your kids build smart money habits that'll stick with them long after the season's over. Head on over to truemark.com/greenlight to get all the details and sign up today. Don't miss the chance to set your kids up for financial success.
And guys, if your hairline's been slipping and you're thinking about doing something about it, listen up. Hair transplants aren't just cosmetic, they're real surgery. And if you're considering flying overseas to save a buck, think again.
Don't go to Turkey.
At GLAT HAIR by Morgenstern Medical in Ballackinwood, you're getting care from board-certified surgeons with over 30 years of experience. They follow strict U.S. safety standards and deliver results that actually last. And here's the best part. You can text them a photo of your hair right now, and their team will take a look and let you know what options make sense for you. No pressure, just expert insight. Skip the travel, skip the risk. Get real care from a trusted local team. Text your photo or call 610-980-4000 or visit GLATHAIRMM.com. That's GLAT Hair by Morgenstern Medical. Let's get that hairline back in the game.
And guys, maybe you did go and spend that money on a Turkish hair infusion. We would recommend against it, but maybe you did. And maybe you're just spending money in the wrong places. Your finances can be messy and confusing. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. It's more than your average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and goals. Don't just manage money, start building wealth with 50% off of your first year. For our wonderful listeners here at PHLY, everyone's got tons of bills, right? Especially in the thing I always think about in the streaming era, you got tricked into, hey, cable's over. It's going to be cheaper. And now your money's just flying out the door to 8 different companies. Yep. You're spending it the same way. You haven't watched Disney Plus in 6 months. Got your money. Monarch Money will make sure that you know when that money goes to the mouse, maybe it shouldn't anymore. Monarch Money's going to help you out. Whatever it is, get control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code PHLY at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off of your first year. That's 50% off of your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code PHLY.
And you know what you do when you save that money? You go and look like these draftees, man. And you go to Golden Nugget Jeweler and get yourself some of those chains that are shining through the screen like they
Got
were.
the brights on.
Oh, man, for the past 30 years, Golden Nugget Jewelers has operated out of the very same location in the heart of Philadelphia. Customers from across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and even Baltimore and NYC have come to Golden Nugget Jewelers to find that perfect engagement ring or wedding band. Their staff is highly trained and dedicated to providing a personalized shopping experience, a vast selection of engagement ring and wedding bands, along with high-end watches, fashion jewelry, and sparkling diamond necklaces, bracelets, earrings, and more that we saw on these draft prospects all through these 2 nights. Receive a final cleaning and written appraisal with every engagement ring purchase. Golden Nugget Jewelers has been a family-owned and operated business since 1987, right there on Chestnut and 8th in downtown Philadelphia. You deserve an expert and the best price. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Visit goldennuggetjeweler.com today to learn more.
And guys, it's a perfect way to end our talking about our partners. The future is bright for all these draft prospects.
Yes, yes.
Shady Rays knows the future is bright. And you also know that moment, the one where you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach on the roof of your car and then you drove away, they fell off. You're at a gas station, you put them down, and all of a sudden you're 2 states away. Damn it, where are my sunglasses? We've all been there. Shady Rays changed the game. Their sunglasses are made for real life. They're good looking, polarized, durable, not stupidly expensive. Here's the wild part. If you lose or break them, even on day 1, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now you can wear your sunglasses anywhere without fear, on hikes, at concerts, on the boat, wherever. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. Shady Rays brings you an exclusive offer through us. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code PHLY for 35% off of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shade's rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers NBA Draft Special. Derek Bodner, Kyle Newbeck, Rich Hoffman, I'm Devon Givens. Bree producing, hanging out with you on this Thursday night, round 2, as the Sixers take Johni Broome at the center position at pick number 35, where Derek, we thought, hey, Maxime Reynaud is still there. Thiero is still on the board. He went 36. Reynaud went a little bit later to the Sacramento Kings. Johni Broome is the pick for the people who may just be checking in. Your thoughts again on the selection. How surprised were you that he was the choice? What's the fit look like?
A little surprised. I think with the way Daryl values analytics, like Kyle mentioned earlier, he's a guy who grades out well analytically. Certainly, I think they could use depth at that center spot, which is why we talked about Maxine, which is why we talked about Kalkbrenner before he was taken off the board. He's a guy that's going to work hard. It's going to rebound the ball, make pretty good decisions with the ball, pretty good passer. Certainly, he was a productive college player. I think there's some concern expressed by a lot of people up here. How much of that offense is going to translate? Doesn't move all that greatly in space. Pretty fluid athlete, but certainly not a quick athlete. Doesn't get off the ground all that well, so you don't know how well he's going to protect the rim like he did in college. But certainly a guy that's going to give you everything he has. Certainly a guy who is going to be pretty good positionally. You just wonder how much of it's going to translate.
Yeah, that really is all the question is here, right? Because you can't look at what he's done as a basketball player and be like, oh man, like I don't know what this guy does. He did everything at the college level. It's just a matter of if the method to the madness that worked in the SEC as an older player, as a guy who is only about 6'9", who doesn't have outlier physical tools, whether that's vertical explosiveness, whether that's the wingspan, whether it's the agility, the ability to guard in space, like it's unclear how that's going to translate. And for some guys, it doesn't end up mattering because they're so smart and they're so prepared, or they have some other, like the strength is the big thing with him, right? And I do think that a lot of times that gets minimized as an advantage that guys have. Because generally, if you're stronger now, as you get older and you put on muscle, you're in NBA strength and conditioning programs, he will continue to get stronger as he ages. So I think that'll allow him to continue to be a good rebounder, continue to be a good interior player, leverage that as a post player from time to time, throw him the ball down there and guys can cut off of him. One of the things I think I'm probably interested in seeing at Summer League, you can do some cool like give and go type stuff with VJ and run him some just like, hey, quick flash through the lane on a cut, get him some easy layups and dunks. You're going to run DHOs with Jared McCain and get him some threes coming off of those. Like, and I said earlier up top, while this isn't like a sexy thing that people are thinking about when you draft somebody, really good screener, guy who is physical, guy who he's not a lot of bigs now. It's like they're slipping the screen before there's even any value provided by the screen.
Paul Reed used to love to do that.
Johni Broome is going to make contact. You are going to feel his presence. And then when you put him in that, like if it's with Maxey, if it's with McCain, if they trap or they hedge and they come up against him, I feel pretty good about Johni Broome and some 4-on-3 stuff, right? Because I think he sees the floor well enough to make plays out of there. And like they haven't had many guys who are good at that. Yabu was pretty good at that last year, but is a different sort of player. So he brings real skills to the table. And like the rebounding was elite in college. There is absolutely no disputing that. So you hope that he brings that. You hope he brings some of the playmaking stuff that we saw. And mostly like you just hope he does exactly what he did at the college level. Because if he just does that in a scaled down, like lower minute role, people will be very happy with what he brings to the table.
You mentioned Summer League. I feel like let's get Jared McCain bringing the ball up. Let's get Johni Broome maybe on like the left elbow. And let's get VJ Edgecombe in the corner. And let's get those three guys interacting, right?
Yeah.
Let's get some dribble handoffs going. Let's get some pick and rolls going. The one thing that's nice about that, at least there is a common thread between the two of them, because there really is not a common thread in terms of athleticism between VJ Edgecombe and Johni Broome. High character guy. And one of the nice things was I saw, despite the fact that there was a lot of consternation about the pick, there were people who were in Ace's camp. There were people who wanted Trey Johnson and Khan and all of those people. It seems like once they saw VJ Edgecombe, at least people in Philadelphia, when they saw VJ Edgecombe get interviewed, when they saw Daryl Morey talk about him, I think you could sense that people are ready to rally behind this guy because he's such a high character player. Let's hope Johni Broome, I think, is in a similar case by all accounts, that he's in a similar spot, that they're really going after a high character type of player, guys that'll work hard. Now, will it work out? I don't know, but it does seem like a lot of people, and I am certainly one of them, that's like, just get me a guy who wants to work hard and loves the hoop, right? And we'll see where the chips fall where they may, because there's been a lot of super talented players who have not checked those boxes over the past few years. So it is nice that they are trying something a little bit different here. And, you know, as much as I am a little concerned about, as Derek mentioned, like Johni Broome, like, is he going to be able to defend at this level? Is he going to be able to shoot at this level? It does seem like a super productive kid who, by all accounts, is a very hard worker and that people like. And if that is the basis for the Sixers drafting him with the 35th pick after a couple of kind of high-profile targets go off the board, I can't really argue with that.
Yeah. So again, I'm for the people who may have just tuned in and don't hearing for the first time us speak about him. I am definitely one that has been down on him in college. I know he can score and all of that stuff. I just wasn't sure how it was going to translate to the pros, especially here with the Philadelphia 76ers. But the guys that we really liked were off the board. They had some others still
Speak
available.
for yourself. Thiero gang
Thiero
forever.
gang forever right there. You know, now with
Thiero
the Lakers.
playing next to Luka doing all his dirty work, man.
Yes, he will be. But he's drafted for a reason, and he's drafted for things that he's good at and things that they feel like are maybe correctable, that maybe some knocks on him, some weaknesses to his game. So the things that he is good at is, number one, you just start with the rebounding. He can rebound the basketball. And whether it's offensive rebounding or defensive rebounding, even if he is a below-the-rim player, he gets up enough, positioning well, he knows how to rebound that rock. That's one. He has played, and he was the best player. As much as I like to hide Pettiford as a freshman, he was not the best player. The All-American is Johni Broome, and it wasn't even close because that's how good he was at Auburn. They have consistently had a winning program when he was there, and he was at the forefront of a lot of that, so I give him the credit for that. Number three, he has really good hands. So when we talk about getting those rebounds, hey, don't bring the basketball down, big man. Keep the ball high. Or if you bring it down, squeeze that pill.
And the passing comes in there too, Devon.
He's gonna
I know
do
you
that.
love the brings it down and immediate find somebody.
Exactly. So you do that. That is a skill that not a lot of people want to do in basketball. For whatever reason, he does that. He is one that probably knows his limitations. So for that, he makes sure the fundamental things that he can control, he absolutely does that as a player. He has good size, and while he is not an above-the-rim player like Adem Bona, he is one, though, that the intangibles are there for this guy. The hands are really good on defense where he can strip the basketball loose. He can disrupt some maybe dribble handoffs where he may be good on those on one end. He can get his hands in there with those quick hands and knock some of that away to disrupt whatever flow of the offense they have going on the opposite side. So he has a lot of really good things. The one negative that I had about him was that the free throws there. Now, look, it may not be this.
And that's a problem for a lot of bigs, that it ends up either you make the free throws or you're off the floor.
Or you got to be an elite guy that's all-star level, like
Yep.
Andre Drummond in his prime. Not a good free throw shooter, but he rebounded the basketball, and he was the anchor for that defense and that team. He was the face of the franchise. So Broome may not have a lot of free throw opportunities, but he's going to get fouled sometimes, and he's going to be out there on the floor, and he has to make sure that if he's in there in the clutch, because when Embiid misses games and Adem Bona is starting, but he doesn't have a good game, and Broome has a good game where he's playing 25 minutes and he's in the closing lineup, you might get fouled. And you might have to, in a close game, step to the free throw line and win those. So that's one knock that I would like to see improve with him now that he's going to be in Philadelphia, presumably for however long he's going to be here. That's one that I would like to see, that he has to make sure that he corrects here in Philadelphia. But if he's a hard worker to do all those other things, and coming from a program like Bruce Pearl's program, he was doing it. You just didn't translate to the game. So I'm sure he practices his free throws and all. Sometimes when the lights are on and you're in front of that 20,000, you just can't make them. But he has to find a way to do that. So that is one knock that I do have on him, because if he's going to play those minutes when Embiid is out and Bona is the starter, or he might, who knows? What if he edges Bona out and he eventually plays? He's drafted higher than Bona. So what if he edges him out and he's the guy that's the starter from time to time? He's going to get those minutes, and they're going to foul him, and he's got to make those free throws.
So I'll add one quick thing in here. I can absolutely envision a moment at some point this year, home game in Philadelphia, where Johni Broome just pulls down like 3 straight offensive rebounds and eventually gets hammered by somebody and gets a standing ovation because he just out-muscled, outworked, out-positioned some guy who's
Reggie
a couple
Evans-like.
inches taller than him. Like, I can absolutely see it happening. It's something he did all the time at the college level. And so, like, he will be an easy kid to root for.
The fans will like him.
The fans will like him.
Yeah.
It's just going to come down to how much of it works at this level.
Yeah. He's going to have a double-digit rebound game where people are going to be like pump. All right, get him on the floor. Overreact a little bit. He's got to be the guy going forward.
Trade Joel.
Yeah, he's going to get rid of Bone, all that stuff. He's going to have one of those nights.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have a couple of those nights. And that's what you want to see from Johni Broome, a guy that, and number two, and one of the other added additions on this, he is an older player.
Yeah.
He's seen a lot,
Yeah.
Eric. He's seen it from the lower level to when he got to, and he leveled up, and he really leveled up when he got to Auburn.
Yeah, and to Kyle's point, I think we'll have a pretty good idea whether or not that stuff will translate pretty early on in his career. But I also think he has a chance to be real good in summer league, especially with this group that we have. Especially if Jared McCain plays. A lot of times you get to summer league and the guard play is frustrating, especially when you're trying to evaluate a big man. Remember that with at least we said that was part of the problem with Okafor in summer league. It might have just been, but Broome will have guards who will get him the ball. Let him do that stuff that he wants to do in the middle of the floor. Let him run a little bit of the offense, and we'll get a chance to evaluate him pretty quickly.
Going to spend some time in the broom closet.
He apparently said, this is a quote, I'm a winner. I get things done offensive and defensively. So the Sixers got a good one. I don't think I've ever heard somebody say they got a good one about themselves. I enjoyed it.
I kind of like that. I kind of like that.
Well, they got a winner. And we'll see if he is going to contribute to winning here in Philadelphia.
So some of the more high-profile undrafted free agents, Shams, Caleb Love to Portland,
All right.
Chucky Hepburn, the Louisville guard.
Now, these two ways?
Yes.
I assume so.
Okay.
Chucky Hepburn
Yes.
is a
Toronto.
two-way to Toronto.
So is Caleb Love, Toronto.
I
There we
am
go.
expecting, I don't know if it'll be immediate. I am expecting some quick stuff to happen for the Sixers potentially here. So
Any
not sure
names?
how much longer we want to linger. But
Any names we've brought up? Well, we're going to 11, so hopefully 28
that I don't
minutes.
know.
Yeah.
So if
All
I
right.
did know, I'd float it, but you guys know how it is. There's a little bit of competition for these guys. So even if I had a name, it could be one that some other team just beats them to. But this is a wild rush every year.
Yeah, for sure. But as you said, even with Eric Dixon, unfortunately not drafted, the draft is over, everybody. So the final draft pick here, 59, by the way, there was one.
Eric Dixon to the Lakers on a two-way,
Interesting. Okay.
according to Shams.
Okay. I like it. Go
There you
for
go.
it.
Local kid.
They chose LA.
The bright lights.
There you go.
He'll be taking a pay cut to play there, too.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Some of these NIL contracts now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was Yaxel. I heard he got $6 million to go back to Michigan or to
Wow.
go to Michigan.
I heard it was 5.1 or something.
It's
He got
somewhere in that
6.
range.
Yeah, he got 6.
That's crazy.
That is
Good for
nuts.
him. Under no circumstances am I hating
For
on it.
context, that's double the 25th pick in the draft.
Yeah, that's a ton of money.
Good
Ton of
for
money.
him, man.
And he is going to destroy guys at Michigan next year. I
So he's
think.
going to up that money a little bit when he gets drafted in the first round.
Sure.
Jahmai Meshack from Tennessee is the final pick to the Houston Rockets, traded to Memphis. That's the 59th pick. Somebody, I can't remember who it was. Was it New York? They had another pick, and it was taken away because of someone is one short because of some tampering. It was New York, right, Bree? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Bree.
President
See?
of basketball.
Bree's
Ops.
always on.
Yeah, so it was New York. They had one taken away. That's why it was one pick short at 59. So the draft is over. And no other names that are VCU, Matt Shoga. He was the, A10 player of the year, Rich, right? Wasn't he A10 player?
Bigger guard.
Yeah, bigger guard. So our guy, Jack Clark, VCU, did not get drafted. we'll see if he gets picked up. Summer League, two-way contract.
Rooting
We'll
for
see.
him. Seems like a great kid.
100%.
Good head on his shoulders.
100%. So I will ask you guys this as some of these names start to come in, Kyle. Can you give 2 to 3 winners, losers that you like?
Losers
from the
are
draft?
easy.
Yeah.
Pelicans and Nets. Winners, the Hawks, who are on the other side of the Joe Dumars, Troy Weaver masterclass. And frankly, like the trade itself was great. And then they got Newell, who they were, I think, targeting or at least considering in that range at 13. So I loved that draft for them. Thought that was really nice manipulation of the board. I mean, Dallas got Cooper Flag, so they're a big winner. Like that's just by default. Trying to think of somebody. I really like Miami just sitting at 20 and you get Yakachonis. Like
That's a good
really
pick.
good.
that's
pick.
a
That
and
felt
that's,
like a very Daryl Morey, just sit here and take
Yep.
the guy who falls and profit.
and I think specifically like, you know, hero, whatever, but like he's a good guy to partner with Bam if Bam is there, like just a pick and roll guard that can get him some easy ones. And, you know, like Bam's rim gravity, the rim running is going to help Yakachonis create some separation that maybe he would have trouble doing otherwise. Like I like that pick for them. I think that's especially in the spot that they're in where they're kind of in no man's land right now.
Rich, how about
Talent
you?
swing.
Winners, losers.
It's pretty hard to find the big winner. I think the losers are very easy. So Kyle mentioned them. I would also say the Yang Hansen pick as well, like Portland. Like, what are we doing
Now,
there?
if he's Chinese Jokic, then we'll be looking back.
But
as,
even still, like, get him
oh,
with 25th
there we go.
pick.
Two-way contract for Hunter Sallis
Wake Forest,
of
right?
Wake Forest for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Guard.
There we go.
Going guard. Fill it up, baby.
Build the team out of guards.
Fill it up.
I mean, there is some truth
We
to that,
can
Chris.
always
You
make
are
fun
right.
of the Nets.
You
to
know
be
In
clear.
fairness, at least this is a two-way, and it's not a not a priority.
Rich,
deal.
you know what's funny? When I was looking at some of the Hanson Yang highlights,
The Hanson Yang highlights.
yeah.
So Hunter Sallis, by the way,
It was-
started his career at Gonzaga,
Yeah.
2 years at Gonzaga, 2 years at Wake Forest, had one lights out shooting year as a junior at Wake Forest. First year he transferred, took 5.5 threes a game, made 40% of them. Other than that, has not been super good as a shooter, but he pretty dramatically changed the way that he played when he jumped from Gonzaga to Wake Forest, went from a low volume shooter to a high volume guy, is kind of a combo scoring guard. So I imagine this is just somebody that this is kind of like the Jeff Doughton guy, right? He's the two-way like not to say they're similar players, but if you need a reinforcement at guard,
Right.
somebody's out for extended time, you got to call somebody up. I think he's a good enough athlete, somebody with at least a little bit of, you squint, you can see some shooting upside. Like that's probably what they're envisioning.
And that's
there.
fitting because much to Nick Nurse's dismay,
Jeff
Jeff
Doughton
Doughton is
can
no
no longer
longer
be on a
eligible for a
two-way.
two-way. Yes.
See you later, Jalen Hood Shafino. Also, see you later, my man. The Yang thing was everybody keeps saying like Jokic and all that stuff, or Şengün, and I was like, he looks like Arvydas Sabonis
Yeah.
to me.
Well, he had some highlights where, he had some smooth moves.
Yeah.
But I did not watch his full games. I did not see
Absolutely
what the
not.
issues were.
That's
It
why I
did not-
said
it did not
strictly
look-
highlights.
It did not look like the comp was all that great that he was playing against. But were the highlights terrible? No.
Good
They
footwork.
were pretty smooth.
The passes were on point.
No, he's good passing, huge,
Yeah.
absolutely huge.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be limited almost completely to a drop. Like he just does not move and change direction all that well at all. But like the post, like for the most part, I don't think anybody cares about post game anymore. But when you're 7'2" and massive and strong, he's got a chance.
So the
They've got,
Sallis thing is confirmed. I know
Okay.
that Shams is on top of it, but we got the confirmation.
Kyle's got
So,
the confirmation. We believe it.
Um,
Portland has like 6 centers, by the way.
Well, and now it's 2 centers that you have to get them on the
Robert
floor.
Williams has to be out of there.
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton has to go. The other kid, what's his name? Heath is like the fifth center.
Reith.
Duop
Sorry,
Reith. Yeah.
Yeah, Reith. It's like the fifth.
He
center.
showed some interesting stuff.
Yeah, he
like-
did. Yeah. He
So
could shoot the
some more
basket.
stuff on Hunter Sallis. I think part of his problem and the reason that he falls into this range, despite some interesting stuff as a combo guard, he's what, 22? Turned 22 in March and is not all that big, but he's also skinny.
Yeah.
He's 179 pounds. So at that size,
Yeah.
at that weight,
He's got a good
with an
wingspan.
inconsistent shot. Yeah, like he's got okay size, right? Like it's not terrible. 6'3", 0.75 without shoes, and a 6'10" wingspan. Like that's good size for that type of player. But when you only have one good shooting season and you follow it up with a poor one, it's just like, that's going to be the key for him. If you're a 6'4" shooter, 6'5" shooter, that'll play, but it's unclear if he's going to get there.
Gotta imagine he spends a decent amount of time in Delaware.
Oh, yeah. Coats, baby.
Light it up. He's going to go down there and destroy it to Quavion Smith style and see if he can.
Man.
Turk.
My guy, Turk.
See him in Summer
one
League,
still
man.
hurts.
We'll see him in Summer League, I'm sure. He'll be
Turk
on
was so
someone's roster.
fun,
He was
man.
fun.
Like, he is just somebody you wanted to be better just because when he was on a heater, it's like, this guy's pulling up.
Do you guys know which country Turk is playing in now?
He's, well, I don't know.
I was stunned by this. I just didn't know. I haven't followed Turk over the past year and a half.
Hit me.
Canada.
Okay.
Plays for the Scarborough Shooting Stars.
He's a shooting star.
He is a shooting
all right.
star.
Like Haley's Comet flashing across the night sky.
Vegas, baby. Vegas. You know he's going to be there on somebody's team. So there you go.
I got to show you guys a text Eric and I got after we're done this show. It's a very funny draft room related tidbit, but I will not reveal it on the show for the reasons you'll find out later.
All right. Sounds good, Derek. Winners, losers.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I think Portland is like, that one's a stunner. And I hate to say it because like I know one of the guys involved in it, and they've had a pretty good run. I don't think, even if that's your guy, you did not have to trade up to 16 to get him.
I'm just going to be a contrarian and be on the Yang gang. That's sorry. You guys are.
I was on the Yang gang when I thought he was going 35th. Just not 16.
It was crazy.
How about winners?
It's hard to find winners.
Well, the Hawks is the one that
Outside of Cooper Flag and
mentioned
Dylan
Miami
Overy, yeah.
with Yakuchonis.
Yeah, and I think that's a good one because I do think it's just a guy fell. He fits the stars that we have. He fits the need that we have, and I think I had him rated in the top 8, so I think that's a really good one as well. And obviously, Utah, when you can get the best player in the draft at 5, you've got to do it.
Just serving up red meat to the Ace crowd.
All right.
How about you, Rich? Where are you?
I'll give you, again, it's hard to find a winner. Like the losers are much easier to find in this draft. I mean, the winners are obviously Dallas and San Antonio, but we knew that on draft night or on lottery night. So whatever. So if you're looking for picks I liked, trades I liked, how about Memphis? Memphis taking Cedric Coward at number 11. That was a spot.
Paid a nice price for it, but I really like him on that team.
They got some extra draft capital after the trade they just made as well. Found Coward is. I think there was like a drop off after him too. He seems like a guy who's going to stick in the league for a long time and has a little bit of upside. We'll see if he's able to do stuff with the ball in his hand, and I'm sure they'll probably maybe they won't give him a chance if they let Ja run wild. But anyway, I thought that was a decent swing for them.
I kind of like what the Wizards did too. They sat at 6. They took Trey Johnson, who we all really liked, and traded down a few spots that was Utah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Utah traded up for Walter Clayton. You trade down a few spots. You take Will Riley. He's an interesting, like he's not a finished product, and he's a little bit away from I think who you want him to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's got some interesting stuff to him. I think long term he's probably a shooter. He's got some slashing stuff. Like I got some good physical tools. Like so, I think that's come away with those two guys. That's a first round I can get behind.
Yeah. Losers were easy. We all agree on the same losers there. It's just ridiculous what Brooklyn did. the Pelicans with that pick.
Just ridiculous.
It really was.
Even some of the guys that I like, it's still like, but
It doesn't make sense.
none of it makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And it's funny. I was talking to somebody earlier, and was saying how you go overseas and you get some of these players to come back and play over here, and you look at Agor, and you also look at Traore as a player, Saraf as we bring him up too. That maybe with them looking at going with some of the more European stuff again. And I disagree, but it was just a point that they were making. They were like, look, they're going to lose games, but they have a runway to rebuild out from where they were. Cam Thomas and D'Angelo Russell, stuff like that. And we disagree on it, but it was just a point that they were making about what Brooklyn didn't like it, but was saying that maybe this is how they're seeing it now. So I still think it, as I said, ridiculous of how they approached it. Because when they made that trade the night before, I'm texting you guys, oh, something's up.
They're going to trade up. They're going to make some kind of consolidation trade.
Not only is it like there's no way they're going to roster 5 first-round picks, but then they're like, well, we're just going to all draft all ball handlers who can't shoot. Like, it's the worst of both worlds.
Yeah.
The crazy thing, too, is like we brought up Miami sitting there and getting Yakachonis. If Brooklyn had simply took Malawach at 8 and Yakachonis at, 18, 19, whatever that was, people are coming away from that draft like Brooklyn won the draft, and you didn't have to move. You just you take players who are on the board, and there's natural synergy between those two. Now, look, I don't know how they ranked Malawach, and I personally was not enamored with him as a prospect. But like, if you're in their position and your whole thing is we're going to take a big swing, that was certainly the logic behind taking Yegor. Mm-hmm. Take the biggest swing that you possibly can, and then try to make it work with a guy that maybe fits with him instead of just saying, we're taking the same swing 4 or 5 times.
And even if let's say you're right, they take Malawach at 8 and then they take Yakachonis at 19.
Or even if they still take Traore. Like Traore as a playmaking guard who just spoon feeds Malawach, and then you protect him with the rim protection stuff. I could get behind that too.
Or you take Agor instead of 8, you take him at 19, and maybe Traore is there at 22. They could have done all of that by doing so in order, and it's just bad all the way around. That's why they are the worst. I really like the Yakachonis pick to Miami.
No, I like that a lot.
They only had one shot, and they got it right because the guy fell to them. They need a point guard, and while Davion Mitchell was really good and did what he did at the end of the year, maybe he still starts, but Yakachonis comes off the bench. You have a guy where Terry Rozier just flamed out, and we don't, outside of the stuff that he was accused of doing, that 365.
Never been a worse time for somebody to get accused of point shaving.
Yeah.
Than that stretch he had last season where he just fell off a cliff.
So Yakachonis walked into a spot where... Yakachonis walks into a spot where... there's a backup role readily available for him, and if it doesn't work out long term with Davion Mitchell, that might be one where he's ready to go. Yeah. He's ready to be handed the keys next to Tyler Hero as an all-star in the backcourt.
Now I don't like the defensive backcourt of Hero and Yakachonis.
No, I do not.
I'm very leery of that.
So. But I do like
Bam Adebayo. Good luck, brother.
Yeah. You Haywood Highsmith, all you guys, let's have at it. Khalil Ware, let's get to it. But I do like that pick. I like that one a lot
for sure.
From the draft. And I also like the one for you because early on when the lottery stuff started after college basketball season ended, he was projected in the lottery maybe like 17. But for Jace Richardson to land on the playoff team where there's no pressure.
Excellent spot.
That's a good spot for him. So I'll say Jace Richardson in that spot as well.
I do. It's still, because I was out of the room when this happened. It's still like processing in my head that Pelicans trade. Because if they give up just an unprotected pick from 2 volatile franchises like that in a stacked draft for the 13th pick, you would go, that's crazy. Like between how much volatility with the Bucks and with the Pelicans. But not only to do that, but just to move up. It's not even like they got an extra pick. Just to move up 10 spots, that legitimately is one of the worst. And look, I don't want to be aggravated by the Pelicans Twitter account. It's one of the worst trades,
I think we're
unforced errors you've seen in a long time.
Here's what I'll ask you guys a question. What is the most protection the Pelicans could have put on that pick that Atlanta
still gotten
still
it?
says yes?
I mean, certainly top 5. Probably even
I think like
10?
top
10.
8, top
Yeah.
10.
Top 10.
If I'm Atlanta, I'd still say
it's
okay.
just such an unforced error. I don't understand
Because
how-
Atlanta has a path to being a solid playoff team next year, right? You get Jalen Johnson back healthy. You added Newell. Trae Young is still very good. He's not the perfect star player, but he's still good. Dyson Daniels gets better. You get some Porzingis comes in, like adds another dimension to your front court. Like they should be so. Even if you're talking about, if you said, hey, well, it'll be a top 10 protected, Atlanta might say, our pick might be like the 18th pick in the draft, and we think you guys will be like 11th or whatever. Or maybe maybe with just Giannis and all the, whatever role players they have in Milwaukee, maybe they're in that range. Like you could still jump up, and Atlanta probably says, yeah, we'll take that swing. Sure.
Yeah. Seems like they fell into 2 traps. One of just complete tunnel vision of we've got to get our guy and we'll do whatever it takes. And then the second of like, well, we're going to be good. What could possibly go wrong? And I don't know how you could have been watching New Orleans and been like, what could go wrong? Legitimately, everything just went wrong.
It was like they stood under a piano on a cartoon all season.
To just assume that like, oh, that's not going to be a good pick in a loaded draft. Like, what are you freaking doing? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think the fact that
stuff.
next year's draft, the top of the class,
Yes.
is so highly regarded, just
Unprotected.
adds insult to injury, right? We were talking about guys who are like, they could be number 1 picks in several different draft classes.
There's a
You
lot
might
of
have 2 or
guys.
3 of those type of guys.
One element that I hit on a little bit last night, but so the new general manager of the Hawks is this guy, Ansi Saleh.
Mm-hmm.
He hired 2 executives, and one of them was Peter Dinwiddie from the Sixers. The other one was this guy, Bryson Graham, who was with the Pelicans, and he overlapped with Joe Dumars and Weave for like a few weeks. I think he knew
He's just sitting there
that they were jonesing for Derek Queen.
Oh my, that's it. I honestly didn't know that. That's a good call by you, Rich.
He got named.
He came back with a ski mask and a gun and said, "Put it in the bag."
Literally, he got named as the Hawks.
And they were both on the same day when they were
senior vice president of basketball operations. So basically, like the number 2.
Yeah.
He got named that 10 days ago. So he clearly overlapped.
That's so
Let me
fun.
tell you what the
Dumars.
board looks like over there. Let's do
This guy
it.
Bryson Graham, who nobody has heard of and nobody will hear of until he becomes a general manager or until he becomes kind of a more prominent role. When they're drafting AJ DeBonsa next year from not their pick,
Oh my God.
That hiring might have just gotten them a perennial all-star for free. Just by hiring the right person.
And even if it doesn't, it's still like there's so much upside to that pick based on the 2 teams that are involved and everything that's going on with them. And even if it's like, hey, both those teams have okay years, it's still a mid-first probably in next year's draft. That's great value.
Yeah, no, like a 14th and a 23rd pick for a 13th pick. Yeah, it's great value. And that's the downside of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of
Wild.
the Dumars and Weaver gong show, as our friend Timmy Goodtimes would call it.
It's certainly that. It's certainly that.
or
with
Derek
those.
Queen, man, I actually think he could be pretty good. And
I agree.
He's going to be judged through the most unfair lens going right now.
And
You know, I was
stay
watching.
away from Zion too. Don't go out eating with him, man.
I saw a clip earlier
Sorry.
of Vince Goodwill at Yahoo was talking with Jared Greenberg, and Jared Greenberg's like he's a national guy. He's on a lot of the Brock, so he normally plays it pretty straight. And Vincent Goodwill asked him about it, and he flamed them. So you got Jared Greenberg just like at your neck, like, what are you bozos doing? I was absolutely dying. Listen, and like big respect to Jared. That it just took me out because I'm used
His
to him.
job is
He's
not to flame people, usually.
He's reporting. He's at the games. He's telling you, hey, this guy's hurt. This is what's happening in the locker room. Or he's hosting shows, and all of a sudden, he came with the fastball right down the middle. It was killing me earlier. Just killing me.
Just unbelievable stuff, man. The Pelicans can't get out of their own way. Doesn't seem that they can get out of
Crazy.
their own way. I think we should get ready to start wrapping up because we got a lot of people to thank. We're going to do a roll call to say goodbye. We're going to have a busy day tomorrow. We're back at 3 o'clock, folks, in studio. And Rich, we're going to miss you, man. You know, these 2 nights hanging out.
I got to do the Eagles pod tomorrow.
All right, so we'll see you here.
You'll see me.
We'll see you here. So, yeah, we got a busy day tomorrow. And look forward to talking to you all at 3 p.m. here on the show. Should be a pretty busy day in Sixers world. So just a lot of stuff to get into with both VJ Edgecombe, Johni Broome, the newest Sixer, finding out again, just about the two-way guys and seeing where things are with the Philadelphia 76ers. So interesting 2 nights for the Sixers. They came away with their man, VJ Edgecombe. On the second night, they went with Johni Broome, and they went with some high-character guys, guys that intangibles are just off the charts, and we'll see how they all play out. Summer League is next. Well, free agency first, then Summer League. Going to be a little bit different free agency than it was a year ago where we were.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to have a several-hour free agency special this year, if I had to guess, because we are not waiting on a max slot opening signing.
I do have to ask you guys about that when we're done, but we'll figure that out when we're done. But first, I want to say thank you to our sponsors, which are Rothman Orthopedics, who will be with us throughout the entirety of the summer and the offseason for the Philadelphia 76ers. RothmanOrtho.com/PHLY to set an appointment today if you need it. Any aches and pains, something serious that you may have been neglecting, Rothman Orthopedics is the place for you. The green light account from TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Rich was talking about it, telling you, make sure your kids are right. It's the summertime, those summertime jobs. You want to make sure your kids are all set up there with the green light account, TrueMark online again. And it's just easy to navigate at TrueMark.com. So go check them out. So we thank them for being our sponsors for day 1 and day 2. Here on Draft Day Live for both rounds 1 and round 2. And we also have a lot of people to thank on our staff, starting with the president of basketball operations, who gets an A+++ for the job that she has done. And that is Bree, everybody. You saw her yesterday at the Boozy Mutt. And tonight, she is behind the scenes here.
Let the record show Derek's the only one who didn't clap.
Fantastic
Sorry,
job.
I was reading. I was distracted.
Just remember that, Bree.
There
Just
you
remember.
go. So we thank you, Bree, as always. We can't do the show without you. We also thank Chris Frezza, because with every
I'm not
pick,
going to make that mistake twice.
there was a graphic with the player going to whatever team it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was on the screen while we were still talking, so we weren't blocked out. You could still see our faces if you wanted to. And Chris is responsible for that, so thank you, Chris. Julia's not here, but Julia Hoff, just tremendous work as always. And we thank Julia for setting it up at the Boozy
Absolutely.
Mutt last night and making it go smoothly. No issues,
Perfect.
no hiccups. It was perfect. And Nick Tuverson, who is not here. All those ad reads, Nick. But we got through them.
We got him in.
He said, read them how you want to. And we did. So thank you, Nick. And to our guy, Ethan, who has been here for like 2 weeks now. You walked in at the right time, my man.
Working
Ethan,
late nights.
That's right. But you get some food, so you're all good. Ethan, thank you, man. We really appreciate it. And we have to thank all of you. And we cannot
Of course.
do it without you. All of you out there in PHLY Sixers world, we can't do it without you. We thank you. You want to roll call it on the way out with some
Yeah,
of them?
I'll toss some names out
Release
there.
some super chat roll calls.
You know who we got to start with.
Who we got started?
Pump it up!
Pump it up segment of the
The
night.
number one Johni Broome fan
Put him in the broom closet.
in all of PHLY. Brian Pumper, thank you, B-Pump.
Thank you, B-Pump.
Thank you to Money Mar, to Vincent, to Kyle Wright, TSL 007.
007.
Hey, by the way, speaking of 007,
Who is it?
my guy, Denise Villeneuve, directing the next James Bond
Who
movie.
is James Bond?
We don't know yet, but I'm real excited about
I want to know.
one of my favorite directors taking over the James Bond. Hey, I agree with Chris. Dune is first
right.
priority. Rick Morse, my
Go get
girl
him, Rick.
Winona, Doug Craig, A.A. Ron,
What up,
Jay the
Aaron?
Jungle, DC Marley, Densley. What's up to
Densley.
Densley? T. Harris, Kyle Wright, Prophet 1.
Prophet.
My
you
girl
saw it.
Winona.
Hey, Nona.
Jess.
She got the
Eugene
Purple
Ross.
Heart.
Bootzilla.
Boots.
No, we got to say the shout out to Boots always. Mom's grandchildren. What up, Mom?
She's up late.
Sean Ford. What's up, Sean?
What up, Sean?
Remo K. BDJ21. No Lex.
No Lex.
Pigeon Hat.
Whoa. I haven't seen that one.
Like Pigeon Man and Hey Arnold.
Okay. Oh.
Remember that episode? That's a
Legendary.
classic.
I
Legendary.
do remember that.
Drew 2400.
What up, Drew?
Grant. What's up to Grant? Frank Smith. What's up?
Frankie Frank.
Greeny Green. Mary Overfield.
Hey, Mary.
Who says we need to enjoy some downtime. I agree, Mary. It's been a lot of talking the last couple of
there
days.
has.
Frankly, my tab has crashed on YouTube.
I'll
like
get the
3
super
different
chats.
times.
Larry Love, DJ AK, Mr. Sandman, Sean Wofford, Bernard McCoy, Marcus Blackstock, Riaz, Sanj, B Pump, the Pump It Up segment, of course, and Jess, the Purple Heart. All super chats. Thank you.
But thank you to each and every one of you who have been here, not just these last 2 days, but always, right? You guys ride with us every single day. We just yap about basketball 5 days a week, and we have a damn good time doing it.
And you do that
We
with
hope
us.
that you guys do too. Please, on the way out, to help us out, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. You will get notifications each and every time we go live, and hit the thumbs up button. As always, to say thank you to Bree and the rest of our wonderful staff helping out, but also to help us out in the algorithm to make sure more people see our work so we can keep giving you the Sixers content that you want and you need. We are back for one more show of the week tomorrow, 3 p.m. after I think we will talk to some new 76ers players. I don't know for sure. Don't hold me to it, but I believe we will have some intel, some insight from the new guys. Until then, we're out of here. See you later.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.